Starting. The Hangout on air is live. All right, I'll have to go quickly to my other browser so I can change that and turn that off. All right. So we're good to go. We are live. Hello, everyone.
Hey guys.
We'll get to we'll get to your questions. I don't know. Usually we go for like 2 or 3 hours for these things, so I'll try and stop for questions maybe after every talking point or something. So just give us some time. So tonight we are going to talk about kaiju films. I have Ray from Asian Filmers.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast.
Hello.
So Ray is coming to us from Japan, the home of kaiju.
Tokyo, Japan,
Yeah. And Erik is coming to us from the United States, the home of making bad remakes of classic kaiju films.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with you, Ray. What is a kaiju film?
Well, what a kaiju film is essentially, kaiju essentially means monster or giant monster in the sense that we all know. And kaiju films can easily, the very first many consider would be Godzilla. Of course, it's like the most famous kaiju, but Godzilla itself, the film itself, was inspired by classic American monster movies such as King Kong and The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms. But the kaiju genre has been mainly like just fighting against other guys in rubber suits, destroying miniatures of cities and mountains and forests, with people running away in panic and terror. And the genre just kind of continued for decades, ever since the 50s. It hasn't changed much. It's part of a whole greater genre called tokusatsu, which involves such as Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, and they all involve rubber suits. And it's one of those subgenres that many of us have grown up since we were young.
Cool.
I think my very first Japanese movie actually was King Kong versus Godzilla. That's the very first Japanese movie I can remember watching off the top of my memory.
What about you, Erik? What was your first?
It's got to be a Godzilla film when I think about it. I can't remember which one it was. Probably one of the ones from the 1960s. I remember the ones I used to watch as a kid were really, really cheesy Godzilla films. I don't even think I saw the original until a bit later. And then right around like 2008, 2009, I'm like, I'm gonna go back and rewatch all the Godzilla films. And then I looked it up. And I was like, wait, they kept making these in the 90s and 2000s? So I had no idea they kept making them. So then I watched a bunch, all of them again, and all the ones I haven't seen. And that was a fantastic year.
Yeah, this is my first one right here.
That's a great one.
Good one.
Very good one.
Godzilla, or what was it? Godzilla 1984 or 85?
85 in the US, I think.
Yeah. So I probably saw the US version. And I saw this when I was a little kid. And I remember watching the original Japanese Gojira probably when I would have been like 3 or 4 when I first saw The Return of Godzilla. And that was obviously not in the theater, on like VHS many years after it came out. And then I got obsessed with those movies. I was obsessed with like Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, King Kong, original Gojira. And I remember going with my grandmother to the video store when she was looking after me one day. And I was probably like 4 years old. And they had the original Japanese version of Godzilla on VHS, those of you who are old enough to remember VHS. And I remember watching it, my grandma getting really annoyed because all the characters were speaking Japanese. And I'm pretty sure it didn't have subtitles. Like, it was an actual, like, original, I don't know. But she was like,
wow.
why are you watching this? I can't understand what they're saying. So,
Man, what an authentic original experience there for you.
Yeah,
The one I
had no
remember,
idea.
I remember when I watched the American version of that, Godzilla 1985. I think, if I remember correctly, they had the short film Bambi versus Godzilla right before it started.
Yeah, I remember that one.
On the
I
actual
remember that
VHS.
one.
Wow. So, what do you guys like the most about these films? We'll start with you, Ray.
What I like the most? Well, I think growing up, I was a huge fan of fantasy stories, Greek myths, and for me, what I liked about Godzilla movies is like these come to life. Granted, at the time, rubber suits still look really cool to like a little kid. So just seeing them come to life and just beat the crap out of each other, like it just made no sense at all. I actually watched a few old Godzilla movies not too long ago, and I just laughed at how ridiculous like just the logic behind everything was. But it was all fun. Same time, I was a huge fan of pro wrestling. So for me, Godzilla movies were just monsters pro wrestling each other, doing body slams and giant swings and all that, and it just all fell into one sweet package.
Oh, cool. Sorry, my cat has come to join us.
Lenny.
Are you all right? What are you doing? All right, you want to be put down? Okay, off you go. What about you, Eric?
Ray summed things up quite nicely there. I would say on a more basic level, I just love the action elements and just the destruction aspects, coupled with the high amount of cheesiness. Because when as I mentioned, when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of the 60s and 70s ones, and those got pretty cheesy. So I think that was like the combination that really worked for me. I just found them to be just incredibly fun films to watch. And then as I watched more of them, I gained a greater appreciation for some of the other aspects. And some of them I think are actually legitimately good films, including the original. So, it started with the action cheesiness for me.
Yeah, for me, it was just seeing giant monsters fight, like Ray mentioned. And it's weird though. I don't know what kids are like now, but I imagine myself being that young and watching those movies. And you rewatch them now, and you're like, why did I like this? To an extent, because I used to watch the hell out of those movies because of those monster on monster sequences, but they make up a very small proportion of the film. It's like most of it is guys standing around in laboratories saying, "We got to kill the monster," whatever, and then for 90 minutes, then you get 10 or 15 minutes of creature on creature action. But I don't know. I must have just had a lot of patience as a kid.
I think that in that aspect, and we'll get to this in detail when we get to the individual films, is that the ones that I generally like are the ones that have ridiculous stories, because that helps to bridge the action. Like, even if the story makes no sense, and I just like the ones that are real quirky and crazy and kind of stupid, because it entertains me in between the fights a little bit more.
Yeah, cool. All right, so let's talk about some of our favorite kaiju films, starting with you, Eric.
Oh man! All right, I'm gonna start very brief. So I kind of have my list ordered with Godzilla films and then everything else. My favorite Godzilla film is Giant Monsters All Out Attack from 2001, directed by Shusuke Kaneko, just because I think it's just the best all-around Godzilla film. It's got an interesting story to it, and it actually has quite a bit of action after you get past the opening half-hour introduction there. And just the monster designs are great, the special effects are cool, and I just rewatched that one a few weeks ago, and I freaking love that one. And then in terms of other kaiju films, there's one that might be questionable. Actually, I have a few questionable ones in terms of if it classifies. And then I got like 2 or 3 super cheesy ones. So my favorite one, I think, is Orochi, the 8-headed dragon from 1994. It's kind of like it almost takes inspiration from Conan the Barbarian, Clash of the Titans and Godzilla. And it kind of like mixes it all together. And then there's two super cheesy ones from Ishiro Honda, who directed Godzilla. War of the Gargantuas from 1966, which I just talk about a hilarious film. The monsters in that one look like they're a blend of like King Kong, Gary Busey, and Ron Perlman all kind of mashed together. That movie is phenomenal. Yog Monster from Space. That's the one where you have there's like 3 different types of monsters in that one. There's a crab, there's a squid, and a turtle.
There's a turtle. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I love it because they're just so different, and you don't see those things a lot. And I like how the squid kind of uses his squid legs to walk on the ground, which makes no sense in physical reality. And then the last one I want to mention is another questionable one because it's from Hong Kong, The Mighty Peking Man from 1977. Now this one is let me see here. This one has they're trying to find like a large monster in India, and it's a Hong Kong flick, if you can imagine this.
Right.
And it rips off King Kong, and pacing is lightning fast. You got random animal attacks, and it's definitely a hilarious film if anyone hasn't seen it. And then I guess one final mention is Gamera, the Gamera trilogy from the 90s.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ray?
My absolute favorite kaiju. Well, when it comes to kaiju, it's mainly Godzilla and a few Gamera movies, to be quite honest. And of course, all the big giant monster movies that Hollywood has put out. But my favorite Godzilla movie would have to be Wars, just because of all the sheer nonsensical fan service that's in there. You have a lot of the old classic monsters. You have Don Fry for some reason in the story, for whatever reason. You have a lot of old actors coming back and reprising similar roles to what they've done in the past. Can't remember any of the actors' name, but then the guy who always plays the bad guy alien is once again the bad guy alien. The guy who's always the mad scientist is once again a scientist. So like I can't remember any of those actors' names, but just because a lot of my favorite, like it came at the later half of what we call the Millennium era, and it featured a lot of Showa era monsters and exclusively Showa era monsters, with the exception of a remixed King Ghidorah. So for me, that's probably my all-time favorite, just because it was nice to see all those classic faces after so many years. And yeah, I have seen Yog Monster from Space, but have you guys seen Frankenstein Conquers the World?
Yeah,
I've seen that one.
That's been written up as what the predecessor to Gargantuans, I think, the War of the Gargantuas. Although they don't really connect in a narrative wise, but they just share like each of the monsters, they call them Frankensteins for some reason. But but that was one of the most wackiest ones, because it's just a guy with prosthetics on his face and just wrestling with Baragon. He's just like this giant fire-breathing armadillo thing, and it just doesn't make any sense at all. It's like, why is this classic like a classic story fighting this random lizard? It's just whatever. It's all fun. As far as non-Japanese kaiju movies, have you guys seen Gorgo? I remember watching Gorgo when I was a child. I think it was from Europe somewhere.
No, I don't think so.
Is that the one from the UK?
I think it's somewhere in Europe. Like, it's about this group of scientists who kidnap this baby giant lizard. They take him, similar to King Kong. I think it was a ripoff of King Kong, but they take him back to. It's British. British, okay, and then basically mother big giant dragon comes and rescues her child and just wreaks havoc along the way. It's one of those movies I saw on VHS when I was a child, and I loved it just the same. On the U.S. side, what consists of a U.S. kaiju movie other than the Godzilla movies? But I did like Pacific Rim. I'm all about Pacific Rim. That's why I can't wait.
Rampage is coming out.
I'm actually really excited for Rampage, because it looks like it knows exactly what it is.
Yep.
I'm not the biggest fan of The Rock.
But with Rampage, I was a bit disappointed, because I thought The Rock was going to turn into the giant ape, because in the original game, the scientists they take some kind of like chemical or something, they turn into the giant monsters. I thought it was gonna be something similar, so I was like, "Oh, is the Rock gonna turn into George? Is his name George?" But
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't. But
George.
That would have been amazing, but I don't think they're prepared to go that far with it.
They should have,
because you got to, if you're hiring The Rock, people want to see The Rock. He's like the biggest movie star in the world. You can't have him turn into a CGI monster. It's like that whole thing when Stallone did that Dread movie, and he wore the mask for about 3 minutes, and then the rest of the film he never wears the mask. It's one of those situations. Everybody has to see The Rock doing his eyebrow thing that he does. But could you imagine if they did that?
Andy Serkis, man, yeah, that would have been amazing.
Some of my favorites, Pulgasari from North Korea.
Oh, that one! I saw bits and pieces of that one.
We probably should talk about the backstory to that at some point today.
Yeah. Well, do we want to talk about it now?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Pulgasari is a North Korean kaiju film, technically. It was Kim Jong-il that time, wasn't it? That was still...
I think so.
It was Kim Jong-il, yeah.
Yeah, he kidnapped, I believe, a South Korean filmmaker and his wife and forced them to make movies for him. And this was one of the films they made. And it was actually... It was remade as a film called Galgameth.
I did not know that.
Yes. For those of you who want to know, if you've seen the first episode of Rehash, Galgameth is on the list of movies we will be looking at some stage. A remake of a North Korean movie, of all things.
And I think
that's a joke. Obviously, that's a joke. I don't like that movie.
I think it's okay to laugh at it because the guy and his wife did escape. You know, it's not like they had a few years there where they had to make movies for him, but they wanted to go to some they went to some film festival in like Europe, and he sent them there, and then they escaped when they were in Europe. So it was.
They told everyone, save us.
I've heard another story where before they got kidnapped, they were kind of like on the verge of separating or divorcing, or might have done that already. But then this experience brought them back together.
So what you're saying is Kim Jong-il he brought people together.
We need a movie about this.
He had his own couples counseling. That's what it was.
Oh, we need a movie about this. Whole story needs to be a movie.
I don't know how well that'll go down with the North Koreans. I don't know if his son will be too happy about that. But apparently, the reason he did that is because he was a massive fan of film. Apparently, he had one of the biggest collections of movies in the world. Yeah, he was the only one allowed to watch those, but I'm sure he didn't share. He wasn't a sharer, old Kim Jong-il. All right. I also like the Gamera movies from the 90s. They are fantastic. If you haven't seen them, check them out. Steven Seagal's daughter is in a couple of those. So that's interesting to see that. Steven Seagal trying to pretend to be Asian as usual. Did we talk about Space Amoeba?
Oh, yeah, that's Yog, I think.
Yog. Okay. It's called Space Amoeba here. All right. What do you guys think? I just want to bring up the US stuff about Cloverfield and movies like that. Is Cloverfield is there enough of the monster in that movie to consider it a kaiju film? I think what Ray was saying before, it's almost like anything goes now. As long as it's a big monster, it's considered kaiju. But I don't know.
Because I think you look at traditional kaiju movies and it's a guy in a rubber suit, but then you look at Shin Godzilla and it's all CG. And I think with that in mind, I think if it's a giant monster, it can be considered kaiju. I mean, I think a lot of traditionalists would disagree, but for me, if it's a giant monster, it can be considered a kaiju movie. And so with Cloverfield, you do see very little of the monster in the end. But I think it's because that's the center of the plot, I can consider it a kaiju movie.
Okay. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I think Ray's logic here is sound. I guess you could consider it a kaiju film. I actually greatly disliked that film when I saw it. just something about just found it to be the entire stylistic nature of it was a bit obnoxious for me, but maybe it was the characters. But yeah, you could consider it a kaiju film.
Something's banging.
That's my whenever my cat uses her toilet, she starts banging against the wall. So
okay.
So right now, like how cats usually they brush their stuff into the sand, right? Instead of doing that, my cat just kind of brushes the walls. It's like a box.
Lenny does that as well.
Yeah,
he does that.
She's just using the toilet right
now. Fair enough. Lenny does that as well. Yeah, back to Cloverfield. I'm not the biggest fan of that film. I agree with you, Eric. It is a bit. It's probably because it's the found footage thing, but you're right. It's found footage done in a very obnoxious way. I think that's a great way of putting it. What about Pacific Rim? You mentioned earlier, Ray, that you're a Pacific Rim guy.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about Pacific Rim that you enjoy?
How absolutely ridiculous and stupid everything is. I think the logic behind just character choices, the story. I think a lot of it just doesn't make sense. But you watch it because it intends to be cheesy. It intends to mimic old classic kaiju movies. You have giant monsters fighting against giant robots, and I think everything else matters very little. Yeah, if you watch it in a movie to enjoy a story, it has so many flaws. But if you watch it as a good old slobber knocker, similar to what Eric was saying, the cheesiness of it all. Like, I love the absolute cheesiness. I mean, there was a scene when one of the Jaegers was dragging along a giant freight ship and then using it as a weapon against one of the kaiju. That was amazing.
That's the best scene in the film.
Yeah, that was an amazing part. It's like that. Yeah, it's because of all the cheesiness. I absolutely loved Pacific Rim. The best B movie I've ever seen. The most expensive B movie probably ever.
Yeah. Do you think people are more critical of things like Pacific Rim and like Kong and all these the recent ones, Skull Island, and obviously the American Godzilla second remake? Are they more critical of those because they have higher budgets?
Like what is the general consensus of those movies? Like, is it more of a positive or more of a negative?
Well, we'll go back to let's go all the way back to the '98 Godzilla. I remember seeing that in the theater. I'm going to make a confession here. I owned that on CD, the soundtrack.
It wasn't bad. I mean, Puff Daddy and
Puff Daddy, the Wallflowers. But it was all it was weird. It was all these remakes of classic rock songs on the soundtrack as well. The '98 Godzilla is a mess, a complete mess. I think the mistake that they made was calling it Godzilla. I liked how in Godzilla Final Wars they renamed it Zilla, and basically said, "Oh no, it's still a monster, but it's a completely different one." So that was kind of cool how they retconned that. What do you guys think about the '98 Godzilla? Matthew Broderick with all his charm. He's such a great leading man.
I think they should have called the '98 Godzilla Jurassic Park Kaiju Remix, because that's what it felt like it was. It felt like just a remixed Jurassic Park. Like, the little baby Godzillas were essentially velociraptors.
They were, yeah.
Running loose. Yeah.
Well, you got to think the year before The Lost World came out, the sequel to Jurassic Park, and they had that whole sequence at the end of the film where they're running around the city and destroying stuff. And it's very similar in Godzilla. And the weirdest thing about the '98 Godzilla for me is the cast. Half the cast are voice actors from The Simpsons. Really odd. I don't know if that's.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you've got Hank Azaria, Harry Shearer, and
that's true.
What's the other one? Is it Nancy Cartwright?
Nancy Cartwright, Bart Simpson.
Yeah, all three of them are in the film. It's really odd. And the weird thing is, Harry Shearer is playing a news reporter like Kemp Rockman. So strange. Eric, your thoughts on the '98 Godzilla?
I remember when I first walked out of the theater, I thought it was pretty good, but then when I rewatched it, it didn't hold up. I mean, the best thing about the movie is Jean Reno. I mean, just having him in it does help you. It helps you kind of get through it. But I remember on the internet back in the day, everybody called Godzilla in that movie Gino, Godzilla in name only. And not in the movie, but like everybody was talking about that outside of the film. It's like, oh, that's not really Godzilla. He doesn't act like him, you know. And then the way he obviously gets taken down, Godzilla wouldn't get taken down like that, right? So, but it was, I didn't really like it, but I haven't seen it in years. But I have no desire to rewatch it because it just seems like kind of lethargic, and it kind of takes forever to get going too. But and then with regard to Pacific Rim. I thought that one was pretty good. My main problem with that one is that you have this gigantic budget, and like the first few fights were shot in like the ocean at night during rainstorms, and it was kind of hard to see everything that was going on there. But I thought Pacific Rim was all right, and plus you get Rinko Kikuchi in a role there. So
cool. What about the recent Godzilla? Was 2014's Godzilla with not Bryan Cranston?
With Quicksilver.
Yeah.
What's his name? I keep forgetting the actor's name.
I don't know.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
It is right there.
Yeah, I did not like that one. It's too much of a. I don't know. That movie's like the definition of Godzilla blue balls, right? It's just like where is this guy? And they don't bother showing him for a while, and the plot and characters were really boring. So yeah, I didn't really like it.
Yeah, my opinion on that is I think it starts really strong, and I think it also ends really strongly. The visuals in that are great, but the whole middle of the film, which is the majority of the film, so as soon as Bryan Cranston is out, like they set him up to basically be the main character of the film, and they kill him off, and that's when myself as a viewer, I was like, no, I'm out, I'm done, because Aaron Taylor Johnson just can't carry a film like that. He's perfectly fine in Kick-Ass, and he's been in a couple of other films that I thought he was fantastic in. But what was the one that I saw with
Nocturnal Animals?
Yes, that one. He was amazing in Nocturnal Animals.
Yeah, he was good in that.
So the guy can act. It's just, I don't know. They just gave him a very bland character. And then obviously
his role didn't require much acting.
No. And then I actually do like the Godzilla stuff at the end of the movie, when he's fighting the Mutos. Ray, what are your thoughts?
I liked it. Like, yeah, I mean, Bryan Cranston's absence aside, I thought the Godzilla elements, though short, were fun to watch. I mean, I think one of the biggest complaints with 2014 Godzilla was that he was only there for like 10% of the runtime, 15%. It was quite short. And yeah, I agree. It's disappointing to see, but I'm guessing that was due to budget constraints, maybe. Probably costs a lot to have the big guy on screen. But I thought the reason I liked it is, Erik attempt. This was much more true to the original source, the original beast, and because of that, because they kept it closer to the original, I marked it up as a positive. I'm like, yeah, I can like it. I can dig with this and go with this.
And then after that, we had so we've got those of you who haven't worked this out. Legendary Pictures is responsible for Godzilla, the recent one, also Kong Skull Island, and the Pacific Rim films, as well as The Great Wall. These are all movies that contain giant monsters, and they're all from Legendary Pictures, and Legendary Pictures is starting to set up their own universe here. I really enjoyed Kong Skull Island. I think the studio clearly learnt their lessons from the 2014 Godzilla, and they realized, holy shit, we're making a silly movie about giant monsters. We need to show the giant monsters. And they did that with Kong Skull Island. And I liked the fact that it was a period film. It was set during the Vietnam War. That was good. That was a good way to go. And I think that film is probably one of the best kaiju films I've seen in recent years. Not that there's been a lot, but I think it could potentially be one of the better US one. Well, it's Chinese really, but Chinese US movies. But, did you guys see Kong Skull Island?
Yes, I did.
And what were your thoughts?
I thought it was just kind of okay. I don't know. It's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly what my problems were with it. It was almost like I don't know. It almost felt like there was no anticipation for when the monsters showed up. They just kind of like kept popping out everywhere. And characters and story were. I mean, there was enough action in it. I think it just felt a little bit monotonous to me.
Okay. What about you, Ray? Have you seen it?
Yeah. I loved all the giant monster action. The characters, I agree, were a bit bland. Samuel L. Jackson's character was the most interesting out of the bunch. Name. Oh God, the guy who was
Tom
locked away
Hiddleston?
in the island. No, the guy who was locked away for like.
John C.
decades.
Reilly?
Yeah, John C. Reilly. Like his character was interesting too. I thought it felt kind of awkward in this world, but it was a good comic relief. A good kind of like because it kind of sphere a bit, but I like the world building too. You know that you have what this universe is their shield. So you have Monarch be established as this universe's shield from the Marvel universe. You have, because it's a period piece, it's trying to establish that this Kong is just kind of a teenager. Make a reason why when he meets Godzilla later on that he's going to be how big the Godzilla was compared to this Kong. And then also the Easter egg in the post-credit scenes where it just showed a bunch of teasers for the next Godzilla movie with King Ghidorah and Rodan and all of them.
Yeah.
I like the fan service. I'm all about fan service when it comes to these kinds of things, so I ate it up.
Cool. So are you guys looking forward to the next Godzilla film? What's the name? What's the title of it? The US
I think
one?
right now it's called just Godzilla King of the Monsters, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm looking forward to that one because the director is it the guy that did Krampus and
Oh, is it?
And is his name Sean something Doherty? He did Trick or Treat as well. That's a fantastic anthology film. I've got a feeling it's him.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Godzilla King of the Monsters is going to be
Michael Doherty, sorry. Yeah, that's him,
Michael
right?
Doherty. He's the one who directed Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
And Krampus. Or written. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong section. Director of Krampus and Trick or Treat. Yeah.
Yeah.
All fun, really fun films. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good director. Very close with Bryan Singer. So I'm not going to allege anything, but let's just leave it at that, shall we?
I think the important thing for that Godzilla film is that the studio needs to make sure his characters are a little more likable because I cannot stand the characters in his films.
Yeah. He's got a lot of work cut out for him. And then after that, we've got Godzilla versus Kong, which is going to be directed by Eric's favorite director.
Who's that?
The guy that did Death Note, the US remake.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
Because, that's what you do after you see the American Death Note remake. You give that guy Kong versus Godzilla. Makes sense.
As the Wingard.
Yeah, it's definitely him, right? I'm pretty sure.
It is him, yeah. I'm looking at it is him.
Man.
Yeah, so Adam Wingard is going to be the director for Kong versus Godzilla. I don't know who makes these decisions and why, but they are really silly people.
At least the screaming characters would be more in place in Godzilla versus Kong. You know?
That is true. I wonder if
should
he'll
do that.
hire that same guy from
just for one shot. Just for
yeah,
one
and
shot of him seeing
Godzilla's
Godzilla
foot
in the
just
street.
comes down and squashes him.
Yeah, I think all would be for me. A lot of things would be forgiven if that one shot was in the movie.
We also have, I think it's this year, Pacific Rim 2. Most of that film was shot in Australia. A lot of it was shot in Brisbane. I actually know someone who was an extra in that. And they shot down in the city. Our city is built around the Brisbane River, and we have a thing called the Eagle Street Pier, which is where all the fancy restaurants and bars and stuff are. And they closed that down, and they filmed some stuff there. But I assume, just like Thor Ragnarok, they probably only shot about 10% of the film here, and the rest of it's made in a computer. But I saw the trailer, and I was like, oh my God, this looks really, really dumb. But if it embraces the dumbness, then I'll go see it. That's all I'm going to say. I'll go see it. Ray, you're excited for this thing, I assume?
Pay money to see it in the cinema without a doubt. I like John Boyega. I mean, he was fun in Star Wars. He was fun in Attack the Block. I can support him.
Eric, are you excited for Pacific Rim 2?
I'll probably watch it when it comes on Netflix. Sure. I don't think it'll be a theater viewing, but I'll watch it when it's on Netflix. Why not?
Yeah. That's not Del Toro, though, is it? That's somebody else.
No,
it's somebody else. Yeah, I can't recall who. I can look it up. Pacific Rim 2 is directed by N.S. the Knight.
Who the hell is that? Is it somebody that directed like a shoe commercial?
Directed Spartacus, the TV show, apparently.
Oh, okay. So is he American or from New Zealand? Because that show was in New Zealand.
He's American, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, they're an executive producer of Spartacus.
Oh, well, there you go.
Apparently, yeah.
It's an odd choice.
What
do you guys think? Let's talk about a South Korean film for a minute. One of my favorite South Korean films, and a film that really got me into South Korean cinema, The Host. Do we count that as a kaiju film? A modern kaiju film?
When I think of a kaiju film, I think the monster needs to be a certain size for some reason in my mind. And The Host was more like it was kind of a smaller beast, almost like Chaw or something like that from South Korea. I wouldn't consider those kaiju just because of the size of the monsters, but I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I think me too. Like, yeah, with The Host and Shaw, like, because I mean they're big monsters, but I can easily just consider them just monster movies, just because of the size. I don't know how technical one should be, but yeah, with kaiju, definitely, it's. I can't give you exact like height limit.
I was going to ask you how tall do you need to be classed as a kaiju?
I know, right? I mean, the original Godzilla was like 50 meters tall. No. Was he 50 meters? 60 meters tall or something like that? And then like he just sadly got bigger over time. But the guy in the monster in The Host was just
it's about big, the size of a caravan. Yeah, like a caravan. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't discount it if people would consider it a kaiju movie. Like, but there are reasons why I would say no, just because of the size.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think it's a kaiju film. I just thought it's one to bring up.
Fantastic.
So what about, like, when we talk about kaiju, Attack on Titan, the recent Attack on Titan films that were directed by the same guy or one of the co-directors of Shin Godzilla, is that correct?
That's right.
Correct.
He also did some Gamera movies, which people really liked.
So do we class Attack on Titan as kaiju films?
I'd say yes. I'd say yes.
Yeah, why not?
The techniques used are straight out of tokusatsu, straight out of kaiju movies.
Yeah, that had
Even
less
just, like,
CG in it than Shin Godzilla.
That what?
It had less CG in it than Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, it was a lot of rubber suits.
Actually,
And yeah,
I actually kind of liked the first Attack on Titan movie, just because it was almost like a horror kaiju film, and I really liked the design of the Titans. The second one was terrible, but yeah, the first one I kind of liked the first one.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I kind of enjoyed the first one. I was like, yeah, this is okay, and then the second one was just god awful.
it's because the second one was mostly just original like content. Didn't really take from the original source. Well, at least not up to the parts I've read. I didn't read. I'm not up to date at all with the original story, but the first movie was. It was a lot of it was more based on the original work. The second one was just kind of like, all right, let's just close the story off.
Yeah, that's the issue I have with Japanese companies. They can't help themselves, so they just make the thing before it's even finished, and often more often than not, it turns out to be a dumpster fire. So, what are some of the worst kaiju films?
Well, I got two of them here. Well, three of them. Well, obviously, the one Godzilla film that everyone mentions is Godzilla's Revenge from 1969. That's one where the little kid like goes into like Monster Island and plays with Godzilla's son. Yeah, that one's just not good.
In a dream, right?
Yeah,
in a daydream.
And then the other classic one is called Gappa from 1967. That's like not a Godzilla film, but it's like that one is also real low grade. Not enough action to make it like entertaining in its badness. It was just like real boring and badly made, I thought. So those are the two that come to mind for me.
Okay. What about something like Sector 7?
That was bad, but is that a kaiju movie? The monster was as big as the one in The Host, wasn't it?
It changes sizes. Like that's kind of one of those so bad they're good movies for me. With Sector 7, but
I liked it.
I'm not sure.
It had Haji-Won.
Yeah, she's great in that movie. But I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like a microscopic thing, and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So we never really get to see its full potential. Maybe. I don't know. I'm on the fence with that one. But I can understand why people would hate that. But obviously, yeah, the Godzilla 98 is awful. What was the other one I was thinking of? There was like a 90s one that I thought was pretty bad. I can't remember the name of it. I should have written it down. Oh, Reptilian. That was it.
Wow.
The remake of Yonggary, another South Korean movie. I reviewed that a while back. From the director of Dragon Wars. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Right?
Yeah, I consider that my least favorite kaiju movie.
Which one?
Like
Dragon Wars?
Dragon Wars, yeah. D-Wars, like no, I haven't seen Reptilian. I've seen Dragon Wars though.
Is Dragon Wars a kaiju film?
I'd say yes.
Because they're pretty massive, those snakes.
Yeah. And like I actually watched in the cinemas because the way the trailer looked, it was like, it looks like a cool Godzilla kaiju movie. I checked it out. I fell asleep like halfway through.
What about the amazing acting?
Amazing. I don't even remember. I just remember that not enjoying it at all, and like anticlimactically, I don't.
The ending's really rushed.
Yeah, like I watched it once. I think I fell asleep about midway through. Another 20 minutes later, just piece things together. Just there you go with the DVD.
There it is.
Man.
Dragon Wars.
It was so deceptive. It was so deceptive. It made me think I was gonna like it, but I watched it with a couple buddies too. We all fell asleep at different points in the movie.
Really? You fell asleep? It's only like a 86 minutes.
Wow.
An 86-minute film couldn't hold your attention.
It couldn't. I don't know, because I guess it took too long for the monsters to really do something fun. I don't know.
I actually was in a comic book store a couple of months ago. It was in this suburb. Well, when I was living in Melbourne, I went wandering around one day, and the lead actress in this, I think her name is Amanda Brooks. Yes, that's her. Pardon me. It was one of those shops that had comic books and toys and just nerdy stuff. And they had this wall. And on the wall, they just had tons of pictures that were signed by actors. And they had one of her from Dragon Wars, and she'd signed it with that tattoo. It was the picture of her with the tattoo, which is meant to be the birthmark. And I was this close to buying it. It was really cheap too. It was only like $30, but I couldn't justify spending anything on that. I tried to get it cheaper, but the guy wouldn't budge on the price. So I went, all right, sure. I just thought that'd be a cool little thing to have like on a wall. People would be like, why the fuck do you have that? And I'm like, it's Dragon Wars. But Ray, have you got any more ones that you really dislike other than Dragon Wars?
There is a movie in the Godzilla universe, other than Godzilla's Revenge, that I didn't like, and that was Varan the Unbelievable. Like, have you guys seen Varan the Unbelievable?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Varan is the kaiju that's like a lizard plus flying squirrel. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like I didn't realize this until later on, but there were 2 cuts made, similar to like when Godzilla was released to the English-speaking world. They added what's his name, Raymond Burr, in the English language releases. In both the original Gojira and Godzilla 1985, they added scenes with him to kind of cater more to the English-speaking audience.
Right.
And apparently they did that also with Varan the Unbelievable, where English language version, it features like American actors predominantly in the central roles, and they're speaking English 100% of the time, and then just the background characters are speaking Japanese. I thought, man, this story seems really weird, and just the monster action was not fun at all. Like, it was just black and white, so everything was pretty dark. So most of the action was at night as well. It was really hard to watch. And then I realized later that all that was added in exclusively for the English-speaking audience, and the original Japanese version, the main characters were just these characters in the background in the American cut. And I was like, so those guys were the original main characters? What's going on? And like, it just made it even more disappointing. I still haven't seen the original Japanese cut to this day, just the American cut. But just that alone, like, it was pretty disappointing. And like, Varan was a background character in Destroy All Monsters, but he was only there for like 30 seconds in total. He didn't even roar.
Yeah, Destroy All Monsters is one that I found actually quite overrated and disappointing, in my opinion. Mostly because like 80% of that movie is people walking around in yellow astronaut suits, which Corey alluded to earlier, and just in general, in terms of the lesser Godzilla films, at least. And I think that was a problem with that film. But and the other 2 that I would mention, obscure, not even worth seeking out. There's 2 from 2008. Deep Sea Monster Rago and Monster X Strikes Back Attack the G8 Summit. They sound amazing. They're horrible, so don't watch.
I have not heard of these. Can you please give us a description of these movies?
All right, let me go to my notes here. Yeah. So we got all right, Deep Sea Monster Rago. This one's set during World War II. A Japanese naval fleet does battle against a sea monster. CGI effects are atrocious. Plot and characters are boring. And the battle scenes are embarrassing and some of the worst you'll ever see in a kaiju film. And then Monster X Strikes Back. A monster attacks Japan during a G8 conference. Badly acted international leaders in this. The humor, this one's actually more of a comedy, and it's trying to be funny. So you could only imagine how bad this is going to be. You know what I mean? And yeah, really bad films.
Have you guys seen? Oh, I'll just grab something off the shelf. I found. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw any of my live stream from the other day, but actually, it finishes tomorrow. I think we had this thing called Bookfest, which is a secondhand book and DVD and CDs and all that kind of stuff thing in Brisbane. It's like the largest, I think, in the Southern Hemisphere. I could be wrong, and it supports charity. And I bought a bunch of cheap DVDs. I paid like $1, $2 for these DVDs, and I found this one, and I haven't watched it yet. But just give me a sec.
I want those Australian, huh?
Do you know Rego has a sequel?
Oh no! I can't watch it, dude.
I rented it the other day, but I haven't seen it yet.
Well, it can't be any worse than the original, dude. That's all I can tell you.
What's that?
It's called Raiga. No, Rego has a sequel. But what is this?
It's called Monster.
Huh.
In 2005.
What language is this?
It's an English film set in Japan called Monster, starring Sarah Lynch and Aaron Sullivan. You'll know those two from absolutely nothing. It's directed by Erik Estenberg and written by David Michael Latt. In 2005, it was reported that Tokyo, Japan, had been devastated by a massive earthquake. It was reported that thousands were dead. In 2007, a camera belonging to 2 missing American filmmakers was found. The footage would reveal that it was not an earthquake, it was something else.
Oh no, is this found footage?
It's a Cloverfield ripoff, I think, if you can see that. It looks like you can see Mount Fuji in the background.
Yeah.
And is that Roppongi? The big tower there?
Probably.
Tokyo Tower, whatever it is.
Tokyo Tower.
With like some kind of squid-looking thing.
Well, good luck with that one. Let us know your thoughts.
Well, I think this is going to be a rehash episode because I've got a feeling this is one of those knockoff movies, and it's a Cloverfield knockoff set in Japan. It'd be interesting to see if they actually bothered to film it in Japan. It's 80 minutes long, so that's something. That's something positive.
You need to get a copy of the Mighty Peking Man and do a rehash on that one.
Oh yeah,
Hong Kong one that's like a ripoff. Oh yeah,
nice. We'll do that.
All right. Ripoffs. You guys seen the Asylum films that feature giant monsters? Like,
no, I stay away.
Giant octopus. No, giant shark mega shark versus giant octopus.
There's like Sharktopus and all that stuff. Is that all them?
Yeah, but then there's the Mega Shark series. It's like a trilogy, and it ends up with like Mega Shark versus Robo Shark. I think.
Oh god.
They're stupid. They're dumb as hell, but the science fiction, but none of the science makes sense.
See, you could bring that up. And like I saw the first Sharknado movie, which if you count the tornado as a monster, could be a kaiju film, right? But I think like that one, when I watched it, I'm like, there's actually a lot of potential to make an entertaining, stupid movie, but it just seemed like they didn't. You got to put a little bit more thought into it, like the individual scenes. Like the premise is gold, but then they stop thinking after you get the premise, and they just throw it together. I think think about David Hasselhoff, okay, in a corridor, and a shark crashes through the window from the tornado. But now what you do is you get rid of the CGI. You have a dude in a shark suit fight David Hasselhoff in an office building for like 20 minutes. I mean, that would be just gold. Like I don't know. You got to give me money to make these movies.
No,
my issue with those films is that I think they intentionally set out to make a cult movie, if that makes sense. So they're like, let's make a cult movie. It's like you can't do that. You can't make a cult movie. You make your movie, and if it becomes a cult thing, then all the best to you. But you can't just go, I'm going to make a cult film. Let's make Sharknado. That's the vibe I get from those films. Are there any crossovers you guys would like to see? that we haven't seen.
Gamera and Godzilla. I mean, I think that's
what I was gonna say.
Kaiju.
Yeah, I think
that's the Kaiju films. Yeah. Or
that
even
needs to happen.
Versus someone from the Godzilla universe, but I know some monsters from the Godzilla, Ultraman once in a while, including Godzilla himself, if I'm not mistaken. So Ultraman is another like superhero series, but the titular hero battles giant kaiju. And what is it? Yeah, if I were to see Ultraman fight, that'd be fun as well.
Well, remember they had Godzilla versus Megalon, 1973, and that had Jet Jaguar in it.
Yeah.
That's underrated. I like that one.
So, wasn't there meant to be a Gamera film coming out at some stage? Like, weren't they going to reboot Gamera?
I think Gamera the Brave was supposed to be that reboot.
Right. I've got that on DVD. I think that movie's okay.
That movie's fun, yeah. Like I think that was the last Gamera movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there hasn't been a Gamera movie since that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear news about a new Gamera movie a few years ago. Like, oh, Japan might redo it, but nothing really came.
I remember seeing like a trailer or something.
Huh. Let
me have a look. Gamera reboot.
Yeah, that would be great because he's such a unique monster. You know, he's a big turtle who turns into a UFO. I mean, that's just amazing, right?
It's an amazing idea, yeah.
There's people saying, was it cancelled? It was meant to happen for like the 50th anniversary of Gamera. I'm looking at some Japanese website. The film's existence was revealed through the retailer Ami, which listed that the May 16th, 2004 issue, blah, 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 having a lead feature on the upcoming film. So it was meant to come out in 2015 to celebrate the 50th anniversary, but I'm guessing it didn't happen. Because we had the 90s Gamera films, which were amazing.
Yes.
And then Gamera the Brave, which was fine. You know, that was more of a kid's film. And then nothing happened. Because, hang on, there's a Comic-Con trailer available. I think that's a real thing. The Gamera New York City Comic-Con 2015 footage trailer. That's linked on this website. So, wow. So if that's a thing, it didn't happen early.
Maybe they just put together like a concept trailer or something.
Probably. Why do you think that fell through? Is there a rights issue or something?
I honestly think that, I mean, the kaiju genre is so like other than Godzilla, I don't think anyone really, like the only other kaiju movies I see that come out are like those straight to DVD B movies. Like, you know, like Reigo and Raiga. But like they don't get theatrical releases here other than Godzilla, because it's like Godzilla goes by on name alone. There's a giant statue of Godzilla in Shinjuku that's just above the Toho Cinema.
Yeah,
like that.
My friend sent me a message with that picture on it not long ago. Godzilla's like
icon. Yeah. Godzilla is an icon that's never going to die, and so that's why they can keep making Godzilla movies. But I think like Gamera were the two predominant kaijus in their day. Godzilla just made more movies and was just overall more successful. This is my guess. That's just my guess.
What about the Godzilla cartoon series? There were several. I remember the one that came out after the American Godzilla, and I remember that being pretty good, actually. Way better than the film. Do you guys remember that? It was like,
I've seen a few episodes.
It was like Godzilla the series or something. And it was like a 60s one or something.
Yeah, Godzilla and Godzuki.
Yeah, Godzilla the series is the one from 1998, so that's the same year, and it ran for like a couple of seasons. From what I remember, that being decent. 98 to 2001. And
yeah, the original the 1960s Godzilla cartoon was by Hanna-Barbera, I think. So it had the Hanna-Barbera feel.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like I remember,
Ray,
you
reviewed. I'm
what's
sorry. No, you go.
that? Go ahead. Oh yeah, I remember the original the 1960s cartoon. It's you followed a bunch of kids. Then it's like a Scooby-Doo gang. What's this? Let's find. Let's have an adventure. Let's investigate.
Solving mysteries.
Solving mysteries, and it usually involves giant monsters. And then whenever they need help, they're actually followed by Godzilla's son called Godzuki. It's like a flying dragon, like a human-sized dragon. And then so they have Godzuki call Godzilla out of the water, and he basically just does their job for him.
Right.
It was like a whole Scooby-Doo vibe, like
Yeah.
in the mix.
Did the monster at the end go, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you pesky kids?
I made the monster language.
Yeah. So, Eric, have you seen the animated stuff?
No. The only animated one I saw was the new one.
You guys have both seen it. I've seen Ray's review. What are your thoughts on it, Eric? Because it's now streaming on Netflix here in Australia, and I'm interested to know your thoughts.
I think that it's moderately entertaining, as I like to use a lot. I thought it was pretty good. I know the thing I liked is that it's very like futuristic and focuses a lot on technology, which makes it a little different. When you see it, you'll probably know that. But the thing is that the characters are they're not really that interesting, and the pacing is kind of slow in spots. But it is kind of a setup too to like the next like two movies, and I think it could get significantly better and more entertaining. So I liked it, and I like the way it set things up. But some people are going to have a problem, I think, with the pacing, and they might find the characters pretty flat.
Okay. I'm not a fan of cel-shaded CG. And when I saw Ray's review, and when you mentioned that it's CG, I was like, oh. Because when they said it was going to be animated, for some reason, because I'm still stuck in the 90s and the 80s in my head, I'm like, oh, an animated Godzilla, that'll be cool. And then, no. So, I don't know. Do you want to give your thoughts, Ray? Just if people haven't seen your review.
I think I liked it. It was I marked it as one of my favorite films of last year, and that was because of how different it felt compared to a typical Godzilla movie. It felt just more like an anime. I mean, it was an anime, but more like of the anime feeling, like giant, like a typical mecha anime, but fighting off against Godzilla. Granted, the first half of the movie it was all exposition and world building. And then, but the last half was just a lot of action. But yeah, I agree with Eric. The characters were not interesting. Like they were the least interesting part of the movie. But the cell shading wasn't actually too bad. I mean, I expected worse. Like I think just same as you, Corey. I kind of go into cell shaded movies like not expecting the best. Whenever it's cell shaded, they don't really do a good job at capturing emotions and the facial expressions, and just the movement feels very robotic. But I thought it was all right in the anime Godzilla. But yeah, overall, I mean, the last half of the movie made it for me. I really enjoyed it.
So it sounds like it's similar to the 2014 Godzilla.
With more Godzilla in it. Well,
okay.
Hold on, wait. Yeah, I'd say yeah. In it.
Okay. So do you guys recommend that I watch? How long is it? Is it short?
90 minutes.
90 minutes, yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll watch it at some stage when I've got nothing else to watch. I've got a list a mile long of things I need to check out. So you guys excited for any other movies coming out? Are there any other kaiju films on the radar other than like these US things? Are they doing a Shin Godzilla? Oh, we haven't talked about Shin Godzilla. Let's talk about Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla. I think that's a splitting Godzilla.
Yeah, it is.
I think I think Godzilla can be appreciated if you understand the director's intention. Like, he had meant to parody, to present Japanese government in a satirical way, and he used Godzilla as a like that the government would have to react to, and he used it in a sense to how they were acting during the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami incidents. So it was a satirical film commentating on how bad the government is at reacting to disasters. So because of that, a lot of people would go into watching Shin Godzilla expecting a Godzilla movie, but they would come out of it disappointed if they were. I feel if they were expecting a Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
So
well, that sums up my experience perfectly. I remember I went to the cinema to see it, and I actually went with my friend Nathan, and he absolutely loves that movie. When we were at his house, because we filmed Rehash at his house because he just had a better setup there, and he has like the Blu-ray, like the collector's edition Blu-ray and everything, and I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, man, this is like my favorite Godzilla film. And for me, I was like really disappointed with it. And I had that thing where, I don't know, I think that the issue was we had the American Godzilla, and for most people that was a bit of a letdown. And then Japan was like, all right, we're going to bring back Godzilla. And I had that moment that I had when I was a teenager, when they did that in the 90s. You know, you had the American Godzilla, and then you had like Final Wars and stuff like after the American one, and they were just like, they literally do a fuck you to that character in that movie. And I was like going into Shin Godzilla thinking it might be them, you know, giving the middle finger to the US again. But no, it's not. Eric, your thoughts on Shin Godzilla?
I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I think the action is fantastic, and then I think too there's some interesting. They took a few risks with this one too. Like Godzilla has like a first form that's one of the goofiest things you'll see in a movie. I was like, wow, that's when it shows up. I'm like, wow, I just started laughing. I'm like, this is why I watch this stuff. And then there's some really cool additional attacks and stuff. Like some of my favorite Godzilla films are the ones where they really power him up. And I think they powered him up pretty good in this because he does some serious damage. And there also is, in addition to the Fukushima, bureaucracy stuff, there's some commentary on U.S.-Japan relations and how it affects Japanese sovereignty. And like, oh, we're in trouble. Do we need to ask the United States for help again? You know what I mean? Like, again. And I kind of like that aspect of it, too, near the end. So, yeah, I like this one quite a bit. I haven't seen it a second time yet, but... yeah, it was good.
Cool. Just a note on the first form of Godzilla. First, he had 3 forms, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like the first form. You know how Japan is all about kawaii, right? Like I feel like they use that first form. The way they market the first form, it's almost like they're trying to make it kawaii. So you get a lot of plushies. You get a lot of merchandise with that first form of Shin Godzilla. It's almost like grossly cute. Like I've seen numerous plushies that's like, wow, this is insanely cute, but it's Godzilla first form. And then, like I've even seen like one of the most unique I've seen was an oven mitt, but it was Godzilla's face. The first form.
Are you trying to say that this is Porg Godzilla?
Yes, I am.
That it was created just to sell merchandise.
There is a ton of merchandise. Even like earlier last year, or I'm sorry, in the middle of last year, they made an official Godzilla store in Shinjuku. Oh wow! And they actually like I thought it was going to be a pop-up store, but it seems to be a fixed. They sell a ton of different merch there, and an opening week. One of the things they sold were just a bunch of like Shin Godzilla items, especially Form 1 Shin Godzilla, whether it be plushies or oven mitts or even just odd figures. It was just so weird.
There's a Godzilla restaurant too in Shinjuku, I heard.
It might have been a pop-up. I don't remember a restaurant. Or was it a cafe? I can't remember. I wouldn't be surprised. but there's a shop. There's the statue that's on top of Toho Cinemas. Was there a Godzilla restaurant? It might have been like a pop-up one. Sometimes they'll do pop-up restaurants here and there throughout Tokyo.
Cool.
Some are like fixated forever, but yeah, some just come and go.
So are there any upcoming kaiju films that aren't US films or Chinese US co-productions? Do we have any coming from Japan?
Not that I've seen. Well, not in the Godzilla sense. I don't think Godzilla has a movie coming out for a bit. If there are, it's like I said earlier, it's going to be straight to DVD. I know, like there was one. I think the latest one I know came out 2 years ago or last year, but it was straight to DVD. But this isn't counting like the Ultraman movies. They always make an Ultraman movie each year. Those as kaiju movies, but as far as standalone, not that I am aware of, not that I can think of right now.
Do they release a lot of those movies on like? Do they do a lot of straight to DVD ones in Japan? Is it still a? All right,
they do. Yeah, it's still a thing. Like just because you can. First off, DVD rental stores are a huge thing here. I don't think they're ever going to die. And that's where I go. There's one right near my apartment. I go to it quite frequently. That's where I watch a good majority of my movies if I don't want catch them in the cinema or Netflix. A lot of these B movies that they just get released and then put into these DVD rental stores, and that's pretty much the only way you could really watch them unless you go to like a used DVD shop. But I always look out for those because it's like, what's this? It looks low budget as hell. I need to get it, or I need to watch it. So there are a ton of those.
Cool. Erik, are there any directors that you would like to see tackle a kaiju film?
Oh man, I want to see Sion Sono tackle one. That would be cool.
Hey, didn't he technically do In Love and Peace?
Was that
you seen with the growing turtle?
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did. that one was a cool little movie.
Yeah, that was quirky as I love my Sono Shion movies. And
a lot of practical effects.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, like he had made Love and Peace. I was like, is this a kaiju movie? What's going on here?
And then the director of R100 actually made one too in 2007. Really? It's called Big Man Japan. I think it was like one of his first. It's cool. It's about like a middle-aged dude who transforms into like a kaiju to protect Japan, but he goes back into human form a lot, and he's all like pissy, and he doesn't like how people treat him. They criticize him, and so it splices in like interviews with him and the monster fights. So it's a pretty cool flick. I recommend that one.
Yeah, I've seen that DVD getting around. I should probably check that one out.
Mm-hmm.
It looks insane. I'm just looking at some of the pictures at the moment. Is there a lot of CG in that one? It looks like it's quite CG heavy.
I think that there's also practical effects too on top of it. So,
okay. So, any other directors that you can think of?
Let me see. Maybe who else would be? I'd like to see maybe do something a little different, like a horror type thing. Maybe like a Kiyoshi Kurosawa or something. Get somebody in there to create like an art house kaiju film. That would be pretty interesting.
That would be amazing.
Almost like Pulse, but with giant monsters in it. I think that would be pretty sweet.
That could work.
That would be so interesting.
What about you, Ray?
I want to see Mike kind of redemption by doing an overly violent kaiju movie.
Right.
Like just bodies dropping left and right. You see the damage being done to all the victims, all the pedestrians. I think it could work for Mike's style. I mean, I think it would fall under his kind of umbrella that he's. I mean, I think Mike is like the director for hire, so I want to see someone hire him to to do a kaiju movie with lots of violence, lots of violence.
Yeah, just give him the money and say do whatever you want, but it has to be a kaiju film.
Mm.
That's what I think needs to happen there.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some more kaiju films from South Korea, to be honest.
Mm.
I think, well, they haven't really done it. Like, if The Host doesn't count and if Sex to 7 doesn't really count, and the only ones that count are the Yongari films and obviously Reptilian, the remake, and Dragon Wars, then they really need to make something decent. Because if you look at that track record, it's not very good. Like, the Americans have made better films than the South Koreans when it comes to kaiju films. I'd like to see an Australian kaiju film. I think that could work. I think we could do that here. We can have like a big crocodile thing or something like that. We've had a lot of those big monster movies. Like, we've had our own like shark movies, and we've had quite a few crocodile ones. There was one called Dark Age from like the late 70s, and then there was Rogue from Greg McLean about 10 years ago now, but that was kind of like Lake Placid style size crocodile. And we had we've got one coming out called Boar, or it's already been out, about a giant boar, and that's a throwback to the Russell Mulcahy film. Oh, what's it called?
Razorback?
Razorback, yeah. Thank you. But Razorback still probably, if Shaw doesn't count, then Razorback doesn't count, because Razorback is the first giant pig movie, technically, I think. So, I don't know. I think we could do one in Australia. I think that would be interesting. We definitely have enough animals that could turn into giant creatures here, that's for sure. Some of them are giant to begin with. Jesus Christ, some of the crocodiles I've seen. Snakes and spiders. There was once a spider the size of my hand, I kid you not, on my leg.
Oh.
That was a scary experience.
I think
Was it venomous too?
No, it wasn't. It was just a giant spider.
we should give Lenny his own kaiju film.
Giant Lenny. I don't know where he's sleeping on the couch. I think he wants to sleep. The chair that I sit in to do my reviews, I've got my guitar on it at the moment. And he usually sleeps on that chair when I'm not using it. So he's probably cranky. He can't sleep there. But anyway, guys, have you got any final thoughts? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah.
Favorite era of Godzilla films. So we had the Showa era from Godzilla from 1954 all the way through to Terror of Mechagodzilla from 75. You have the Heisei era from Return of Godzilla 1984 through Godzilla versus Destroyer in 1995. And then you had the Millennium era after that. So my favorite is actually the Heisei era, because you have 4 in a row that I really liked. Godzilla versus Biollante, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, Godzilla versus Mothra Battle for Earth, and Godzilla versus Super Mechagodzilla.
That's difficult for me because, like I said earlier, my favorite Godzilla movie was Final Wars, which is the Millennium Godzilla.
Mm.
But I have, and a lot of the Showa era creatures like Godzilla is for me. But I have to agree, Heisei was my favorite, if you want to judge on based on movies. Because that's tough though, because they had a lot. Like, what I like about the Heisei period is that the movies chain together with their continuity a lot better than any of the other eras of films.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with you, Eric. Here we go. That's the Australian, the Australian box set with all 5 films.
Hey, what region code is that?
Region 4 in Australia. So it's PAL format. So I don't know if it'll play on a DVD player. Have you got a multi-region DVD player?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Can you play like region 2?
Oh, yeah.
All right, then you can play this.
Yeah.
So in Australia, there are... I'll just get them down, considering we're talking about them. Just give me a second. I'll get them all down.
Yeah, because I really only have like maybe 6 Godzilla movies in my collection. I got to increase that. You know what I mean? One of my favorites.
Oh, are those all the box sets?
Jeez.
Okay. So I don't think every Godzilla film is counted for in these because there are maybe 1 or 2 they don't have the rights for. But they're 4 box sets.
Man.
They're not that expensive. I think I paid $30 Australian each for these, but they were on special when I bought them. So this is Showa Classics Volume 1. So this has Godzilla, Mothra versus Godzilla, Godzilla Invasion of the Astro Monster, Godzilla versus Ibira, Son of Godzilla, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. So that's a 6-disc box set. So the first disc is different from the others because that's the original film, and then the other discs all have a similar style to them. So you probably can't see it on here, but they have little pictures, and the pictures represent what monster is in the movie.
That's cool.
So that's kind of cool. So there's that one, and then you've got Showa Classics Volume 2, and that has another 6 on there. So you got Godzilla All Monsters Attack, Godzilla versus Ghidorah, Godzilla versus Gigan, Godzilla versus Megalon, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and Terror of Mechagodzilla. All in one box. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Australia is the only country where you can get these packaged like this. I don't know. In Japan, can you get them all in one big collection?
I haven't checked recently, to be honest. I think when Blu-ray came out, they started re-releasing on Blu-ray, but I think it's just individual discs. I could be wrong. I haven't actually checked, to be honest. But
yeah, because I know in the US, right, Eric, you can get like them on Blu-ray like separately or in 2 packs or something.
I think so. Yeah, you got to like accumulate a bunch of different packs to get them all.
Yeah, but then we have the Heisei, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, and Godzilla versus Destroyer.
Destroyer.
So that's cool. And then we have the Millennium series. Sorry?
Biolante in there, do you? Godzilla versus Biolante?
No, that one's not in there.
Ooh. Well, you could always pick that one up separate.
Yeah, there are a few that are missing. And I remember I emailed, because the company that releases these, I have a direct contact to them. Or this company, they're Madman Australia, they release all the Asian stuff here. And they told me that there are a few that were missing because they just didn't have the right. Just like the Return of Godzilla, there are a few that they don't have the rights to. So they did the best that they could. Millennium series, we have Godzilla 2000, obviously. Godzilla versus Megaguirus, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 3, Godzilla Tokyo SOS, and Godzilla Final Wars. So for box sets that are around $30 to $40,
That's not bad at all.
They've got 6 DVDs per box. It's pretty decent. So I paid, because I got them on special, because I think they're $40, and I think they had 20 or 30% off at this store that I bought them from. So I got like all 4 for $120 or something. So that's a lot of movies. But I remember reading somewhere that the company was trying to release like one giant box set with every single Japanese Godzilla film in it, but they couldn't get the rights. There must be 1 or 2 that the rights are just owned by somebody else and they can't release it that way. Because if they could, people from all over the world would go crazy for that and buy everybody would like one box set with everything in it. But And that may be why in the States you can only buy them separately too. Maybe they're just different companies or something. I don't know.
I know one
Right.
little thing. Mentioned in each of the discs, you can see which monsters are in it, right?
Yeah.
I've seen that marketing like tactic that feature in the Godzilla novels. Actually, I used to read all the Godzilla novels, and they use. I think it's probably the same exact artwork, but in each of the books, they tell you which monsters make an appearance in the novels. With those, with like this has Godzilla, this has Biollante, and it lists them all like at the back of the books. So, like fans would like just have a taste, like, oh, the story's gonna have Mecha Godzilla. I gotta pick it up. But yeah, I used to love the Godzilla novels back in the day. I don't know if they make bread, but they were fun.
All right, you guys have anything else you want to say? Or are we pretty much done for Kaiju film?
One last question for me. What's everyone's favorite Kaiju?
Mm.
No Godzilla or Gamera. No Godzilla or Gamera.
I'm going to say, if it counts, the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
I think it counts, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the closest thing. Like you said when we started the podcast, that was one of the big influences for the creation of Godzilla. So I think if I can't choose Godzilla, then I will choose the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. The legendary Ray Harryhausen, who I got to meet when I was 17 years old.
Really?
Lucky.
He came to Australia. They at the it was the Queensland Museum, which is in Brisbane. They had a special display / festival thing. So they had the original puppets and not puppets. What do you call them? What are the names for them?
Yes, the stop motion
figures, but they have like little skeletons because obviously a lot of the plasticine that was over the top. So it was like the original, whatever you want to call them, little things. Models. Yeah, let's just call them models. I think there's a specific name for them, but we'll call them models. They had them. They had ones from like the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad and all those. And he was doing they had like a Q&A with him. And I remember I think I might have had the day off school, but my parents let me have the day off school to go to it. But that's how much of a nerd Corey was in high school. He was going to watch old guys that made movies in the 50s and stuff give talks.
Those movies are amazing, though.
They're amazing. They still hold up really well.
Jason, I love like the Sinbad movies. Yeah, Jason Argonauts. Yeah.
Clash of the Titans is one that I watch. I still watch all the time.
Yeah,
Clash of the Titans.
Those movies were highly influential. So influential that they influenced the Japanese to make Godzilla. So, yes, my pick is Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. So, what about you, Eric?
Well, not counting the ones that are hilariously stupid, there's one that makes a brief appearance that I would say really made an impact on me. It was from Orochi, the Eight-Headed Dragon. There's this monster that shows up called the God of Kumaso, and he's made of molten rock. And I love that guy. He only has a few minutes of screen time, but he's just fantastic.
All right. You started this thing, Ray. Finish it.
Mine is Mechagodzilla.
Nice.
I don't know if, it's kind of cheating, but because I particularly like the Mechagodzilla in the Millennium series, Kiryu, the guy who was the original Godzilla, who got resurrected to become a soldier of the military, and that universe is Mechagodzilla, and it seemed like just like a really tragic backstory, and he would fight against his DNA, but in the end I thought it was a really cool backstory to a kaiju. So that particular Godzilla is Mechagodzilla is my favorite.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it there. Do you guys want to give a shout out to your channels? We'll start with Ray.
Yeah, Asian Filmist. I try to update. I can. Pretty busy nowadays, but at least once a week. Hopefully, ideally 3 videos a week. if I have time. But yeah, Asian Filmist, mainly Japanese movies, but hoping to do more non-Japanese movies in the future.
Cool. And Eric?
Yes, I'm the Asian movie enthusiast on YouTube, primarily covering Korean, Japanese, and Chinese language films. So I kind of bounce between those. So I'm going to try to cover more Japanese classics this year. So if you're interested in any of that, definitely check me out.
Yeah, I've included links to your channels in the description. They should be there now. If they're not there, I will add them once we finish this broadcast. All right, those of you who are watching, let's go to some questions. Tell us some. Give us some questions, guys. I'm looking at the live chat now. I'm not going to go scroll through it all because it looks like you guys have been talking amongst yourselves. So if you have any questions, ask them now. So we will wait and see.
One other, while we're waiting, I think we need to mention there was a trilogy of films that came out in 1966 called Daimajin.
Ah, yes. I forgot about those.
Yeah, those are pretty cool movies for anyone who hasn't seen them. It's about he's almost like a big statue that stands there, and after the people become oppressed, he comes to life and helps them out. Those are pretty cool movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great. I think I was going to pick that up on Blu-ray. I think they had a release in the US. It was a 3-disc or 2-disc set with all 3 movies on it. But then it's one of those things. I was like, oh, I'll get it some other time. And now it's like out of print and really hard to find. And I went on Amazon US and people want like $200 for it or something. It's one of those. Dude, I've got some DVDs worth that easily.
Oh, I'm sure.
That are out of print. I'm sure Erik has some like that too. It's crazy. Crazy what people will pay for some stuff. All right, let's have a look at any questions. Paprika, has anybody watched it?
Yes, amazing. Kon Satoshi.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film.
Agreed.
I think it's the
very impressive.
Inception?
Yeah, it's very similar to Inception.
Got to rewatch it. Haven't seen it in years.
My favorite Satoshi Kon film is Perfect Blue.
No, Millennium Actress for me. I don't know. I had this internal struggle before. For me, Millennium Actress.
Oh, really?
Takes it. Yeah, I don't know. Perfect Blue is amazing, but it's just really hit it home for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
my favorite.
I don't think you. Yeah. Oh, go sorry.
Yeah, my favorite thing is actually Paranoia Detective, whatever it is.
Paranoia Agent.
Paranoia Agent. Sorry, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's amazing. I've got that on DVD.
That was such a good show.
Fantastic. So sad that he passed away because.
Yeah.
Did you guys read any of the stuff that got released after his death that his estate put out?
No.
Yeah, don't. There's a reason he didn't publish certain. So they did that thing where they went through his. Oh, look, see what he's got lying around, and they published a bunch of stuff, and I bought pretty much everything that got released afterwards because I'm like, I need more. And there's a reason he said, I don't want to publish this when he was alive because it was rubbish. Yeah. All right, let's have a look. Thoughts on Christopher Nolan? My thoughts on Chris Nolan, I like most of his films. I think his best film is The Prestige. And that's not because it's got Hugh Jackman in it and I have to feel like I've got to support an Australian. I just think that's his best film. Interstellar I didn't particularly care for. Inception's okay. Dunkirk I haven't seen. I saw the trailers and I'm like, I don't care. It's one of those things that I don't really care. Memento is fantastic. But yeah.
Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Or any of those movies?
Yeah, what about you? Erik?
Yeah, I like them quite a bit.
Oh.
I like them quite a bit. The only one I didn't like was Interstellar. That one just fell flat for me. It just seemed kind of, I don't know. My favorite one is probably Memento. I would say is my favorite.
Okay, sorry to cut you off, Ray.
That's fine.
What were you saying?
I didn't mind Interstellar, but it's definitely the weakest of his movies for me. But Dark Knight was my favorite of his, just because I was a big Batman fan when that came out.
Let's have a look. One question to three amazing guys. Are you guys by any chance meeting in person somewhere in the future? Oh, well, we were actually talking about that before we went live. Depending on circumstances, we might try and do something in, what were you saying, Eric? October?
Yeah, possibly October.
Possibly October. Eric said that he might be going to Japan, and if I can get enough money to get, like, if it is October, then that gives me plenty of time to start putting some money aside. So that's Japan's a good place for us to meet. It's about 10 hours from Brisbane. How far is it from the US?
Where I'm at, I cut my trip in half. So I go to San Francisco first because I travel across the country. That's like 4 hours. I stay overnight in San Francisco to rest. And then it's like a 10-hour flight from San Francisco directly to 10 or 11, I think.
So that's pretty good. Yeah. I get direct flights from Brisbane. So yeah, hopefully we can all catch up and do something like that.
Yeah,
we gotta have an awesome dinner.
Yeah, definitely. And I will probably drink too much and make a dick of myself, but that's what that's what I usually do. All right. Why do we think? Oh, this is from the film guy. Why do we think the Taxi Driver or A Taxi Driver wasn't nominated?
Oh, best foreign film?
Yeah. Have you seen it yet, Ray? Or have you just heard about it?
Haven't seen it yet. I mean, I know of it, but I haven't seen it yet. I think the only way I can watch Korean films right now is through Japanese Netflix, and they dub up the English subtitles, so I have to watch it with Japanese voiceovers, which kind of like dulls the experience. But it's a way to watch it. So
better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet though. Yeah, better than nothing.
Yeah. Well, even though you talk about Japanese films, but let's make this question a bit broader. Why do you think Asian films don't get nominated usually or win? It's very rare that they do.
I don't know if there's like a political aspect to it, where maybe the producers from these Asian countries don't wet the palates of the people in the academy or something. I don't know, because it seems like they like their the European type film, and occasionally they'll go to like the Middle East or like Africa too for like some of the films, but they really don't tap any from East Asia. I know Departures won in 2008, I think, but
yeah, it did.
I mean,
yeah, Departures won, yeah.
But very rarely do they get nominated, which is kind of odd.
Yeah. It's I don't know why. I wish I had some way of knowing why they don't bother with Asian films, but then I posted on that on the YouTube app that I have on my phone. They've got that Facebook style thing, which I think is fantastic now. And I posted a picture of The Boss Baby. And The Boss Baby has been nominated for Best Animated Film along with Ferdinand, two critically panned, and from what I understand, I saw little bits of The Boss Baby. There's awful films. And then
you've got things, kids.
You've got things like Your Name and A Silent Voice and these. Right? Yeah, you've got all these amazing Japanese animated films that never get looked at.
Yeah, I think last year there was talk about how it didn't even get considered for like best foreign film or even best animated feature. Oh, was that last year? I know there was some buzz about that. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, there was some buzz about that last year. Yeah,
I really don't know why they just. For me, it's like, why do they nominate Meryl Streep every single year. I think these people are elderly men, a lot of them, and they only know certain things. So they know Meryl Streep and they know Tom Hanks. So anytime they make a film, they go, yeah, and Daniel Day-Lewis. But Daniel Day-Lewis is granted, though. That guy's a fucking genius, in my opinion. But, you know, yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis is one of those actors where you don't know anything about him. He just lives he makes one movie every, like, few years and then he just disappears. But yeah, like, why do they keep nominating the same people over and over and over? Like Jennifer Lawrence, it's like she's the new it girl. She just gets nominated. I just think they're old people and they just think foreign films are predominantly European films. So that's why it's always French and German and Italian and Spanish. And it's just so much of that stuff. Which is a shame because there are so many great films that people miss out on. But then you also, you know, if you want to, if I can play devil's advocate, you know, the US has its own awards. You know, they have the Golden Globes and they have the Oscars and what's the other one? The SAG Awards.
They have the SAG,
Screen Actors Guild. You know, Japan has its own awards as well. South Korea has multiple awards. When I'm going to Hong Kong, they've also got the Asia Film Awards, and it's the same throughout Europe. Like, you know, I don't think many Australian films are going to be nominated at the Asian Film Awards. You know what I mean? Like, so we have to be like, okay, well, the Oscars are really, at the end of the day, it's a US thing. It always has been. So I don't know. That's just me playing devil's advocate. That's all.
And also, sometimes, you know, South Korea and Japan don't really submit the correct film for consideration as well. So.
Yeah, we've spoken about that before. Usually they make really poor decisions about which films that they put up for an award. But then they make the right decision and they still get forgotten about anyway. So it's like, well, what are you going to do? All right, let's have you guys have any more comments?
Japan and Korea tried to. Just a question. What were the movies that Japan and Korea tried to submit for best foreign film this year or this award season? You guys remember?
So this year it was A Taxi Driver, and I don't know the Japanese film off the top of my head. But I know last year they tried to push. Was it Age of Shadows?
Yeah.
That's a Korean movie, isn't it?
Yeah, for Korea. And it should have been The Handmaiden, even though I liked The Handmaiden, but I didn't think it was amazing. But
heck, This World of Us would have had a much better chance, I think.
Yeah, that would have had a very good chance. But again, Eric, that's not a Park Chan-wook film, is it? That's a small...
yeah.
Is that technically like an indie film?
I think.
Yeah. So do you know, Ray, what it was?
Yeah, well, this is the 90th awards, right? I can't remember the number, but
I don't know.
Possibly.
Possibly, and apparently Japan's submission was Her Love Boils Bathwater.
Well, that's a very good movie, I thought. So
it was a good movie.
It's a good choice. Although they probably could have submitted Rage, I would think, if that was 2016 or.
Let me see. Oh, that was 2016. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a 2017 movie, Love Boils Bathwater, that was a good one, but I don't know what else could have competed. I mean, like the movies I listed for my favorite Japanese films. I mean, they're just my favorites. I don't know if they're Oscar quality, but.
Somebody said to me, please answer this, that every language industry do plagiarism, not only Indian films. Well, Indian movies do it more than anyone else. So, sorry. Other countries do it, but, you know, India does it consistently, and they consistently get away with it. So, I don't know. When I made that video, I don't know if you guys saw that video, I had so many people telling me, oh, but what about this one movie that's similar to this movie. I'm like, well, that's not the topic of the video.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, I know Quentin Tarantino has ripped off other things. There's a documentary called, what's it called? You're Not Fooling Anyone. They're like two short documentaries made about Tarantino. Go watch them. What's said about Tarantino has already been said. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Have you watched Death Note? And if you have, do you think its ending could be improved? It depends on what Death Note you're talking about, Mr. Nobody. You talking about the TV series? Are you talking about the film? Spoiler alert for the TV or the anime. I think it should have ended when L died. I think it completely loses steam after that. And I think the writer had clearly intended it to finish there. And it was one of those things. It was popular. And in Japan, when a manga or an anime is popular, they push for more. And you have to come up with some other crap. And you're like, you write yourself into a corner. And I think that's kind of what happened with Death Note.
That's how I remember it too. And I'm actually going to rewatch the anime this year, so it'll be interesting to revisit it and see if I still feel the same way.
Yeah. Ray, thoughts?
On the Death Note, yeah. For me, the story finished with the Death Note. It's kind of like that the whole battle between L and Light, that was what made Death Note for me. And then to have one of them go away, it just couldn't come back, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of the story.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever watched Manchester by the Sea? I saw it. It was okay. It was depressing as all hell. Do I think it deserved all the Oscar buzz? No. Ray, have you seen Manchester by the Sea?
Haven't seen it.
That's the Casey Affleck thing. He won Best Actor last year, I think. Eric, have you seen Manchester by the Sea?
Yeah, I did not particularly care for it. I thought it was well acted, but it's 137 minutes long, and it felt like it was too repetitive. You know, it focused a lot on awkward moments between the characters and stuff, and I thought it was pretty drably shot, and the dialogue itself was just kind of it was okay. So I kind of had trouble sitting through it, to be honest.
All right. Pratima Pieces has just given me kiss, hug, wink.
Wow.
Tongue out. Well, thank you. I would. Here. There you go. There's a kiss back, I guess. Are you guys Johnny Depp fans? If you asked me that question if you asked me that question in 1996 or 1997, I would have said he's the greatest actor alive. Ask me that now, I think he's washed up.
He went the Nicolas Cage route, I think.
He really did. He sold his soul to Disney. Once he made that Pirates of the Caribbean movie, his career never got back on track. And he was one of those guys back in the 80s and 90s. He was like, I don't want to say a bad boy. He was more of a like anti-Hollywood kind of guy. He was like, no, I never want to be a superstar. I just want to make the movies that I want to make. And he did all these obscure movies, and his performances were fantastic. And then he made Pirates of the Caribbean, and the rest is history. Ray, your thoughts on Johnny Depp?
Yeah, I mean, I think nowadays when you watch Johnny, it's like he's an actor where when you watch a Johnny Depp movie, you kind of have an idea what to expect. Similar to if you watch a Nick Cage movie, if you watch a Steven Seagal movie, you're going to get a Nick Cage movie or a Steven Seagal movie. You're going to get a Johnny Depp movie. Any kind of performance, really. Like it just, yeah, I agree. After Pirates, everything is just kind of a rehash of that. You know, put on some different makeup, different quirks, some different tics, but it's essentially the same kind of weird personas that he put on. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like dress up, put on a funny voice. That's Johnny Depp's career since Pirates of the Caribbean, as far as I'm concerned. Eric, your thoughts on Jonathan Depp?
Yeah, I basically agree with you guys. when I see the trailers for some of his movies, I really I'm almost appalled at at what I'm seeing in the trailers. Like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Was he in that?
Yeah.
Oh man, the trailer for that just looked atrocious. Same with those what was it, Alice in Wonderland movies?
Yep.
Like I just can't even see myself even attempting to watch that. So yeah,
the Lone Ranger, one of the biggest flops in Disney's history.
I don't know.
Good Johnny Depp movies. Ed Wood is fantastic. That's it's probably his best performance. But anything from like, I guess, Edward Scissorhands to about Sleepy Hollow, I would say that kind of period's really good.
I did like Blow. Blow was pretty good. He was good in that.
Yeah, Blow wasn't too bad. All right, next question. Sing a song, use that guitar. Do we want to hear Corey sing a song or not? I don't know if I really
you don't want to hear me sing, I'll tell you that right now.
Maybe in a minute. I don't want to ruin. We'll get through some of these questions.
Hey, speaking of which, I have a proposal for you guys. When you guys come to Japan, let's all do a live stream by doing karaoke.
Oh man!
All right, we can do that.
I'm totally up for that.
Hollywood is leftist. Well, to a certain extent, too far left, if you ask me. But there's nothing wrong with being left. What have we got here? Oh, that was Indian submission was Newton. Yeah, I've been meaning to check that out. Oh, hang on. These days, everything is politics, pretty much. Corey, any chances? Oh, hang on. I think I've missed something. Oh, it's done that thing where my mouse has gone stupid. What is your favorite film? That's too broad of a question. Sorry, guys.
Mine is A Tale of Two Sisters.
Really? It's that easy for you?
Yep.
What about you, Ray? Is it that easy for you?
Well, in any language, in just overall favorite
I think just overall film, man.
That is hard for me. I don't know, because I don't know. I have different realms of favorite films. Like something that's because of nostalgic, might not be good, but just because nostalgia is heavy, like Goonies. But like, I don't know. It's hard for me.
Okay. Corey, any chance of doing South Korean movie talks reviews with Nathan? I would like for him to be more involved with that, but only if he's up for it. I don't know if he'll do too many South Korean ones. He might come and see a couple of new releases with me if he's got the time. Like Nathan has a pretty busy job. He's going to start doing the odd classic Hong Kong movie because he grew up in Hong Kong and he lived there for 14 years. So he'll focus on that stuff.
I'm actually looking forward to that a little bit. I like him as like a personality on your channel.
Oh, thanks, man. We've been friends for a very long time. It's funny. People, when we've done reviews together, people are like, are you two like scripting this? I'm like, no, that's just how we talk to each other. Obviously, like that rehash episode was edited in a certain way to make some of the jokes seem funnier than they probably actually were. But The Wailing should have been sent to the Oscars and won for Best Foreign Film. Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Are you guys excited for Tak Sakaguchi's new film, Reborn, listed on Amazon for February release?
Heck yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I saw it. I did a review on it actually. It came out late last year. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, really fun. So is that Amazon as in you can purchase it on DVD and Blu-ray, or is it just one of those Amazon
Prime
things?
Video, maybe? It's probably Prime Video, I guess.
I would assume so.
But it's fun. If you're a Sakaguchi fan, yeah, this will feel right at home. I think when the trailer first came out, people were sharing it as, the Japanese John Wick.
Oh, really?
And
but it's nothing like that, or?
It was being. I think it deserves that recognition. But then he's kind of the intentions of this character versus John Wick are quite different. But the violence is just as satisfying.
Cool. Corey, you never gave me a kiss and I wanted to marry you. All right, more kisses. There you go.
Wow, man.
All right. What have we got? Have you watched Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl? What do you think about it? I've heard of that, but I don't think I've seen it. You guys, does that ring any bells?
It's in my Netflix queue, but I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, hang on. It's done that thing where it's too many things going off of here. Have you ever tried to write a screenplay? And if you have, how far did you get? Me, personally, I haven't really written any screenplays. I've written plenty of stories. But screenplay, I've got like outlines, and I started writing one movie that'll probably never get made because of the way the Australian government works, and they would never give me money to make the movie I want to make. So what about you guys? Ray, have you ever written anything?
Well, I don't think it counts as a screenplay, but I have made short movies for when I was when I was in university, making for my Japanese language class. For projects, our teacher would let us be as creative as we want, and I made a few short movies over time. A few of them I've uploaded to my personal YouTube channel, not my Asian Films channel, but through my personal YouTube channel. I think I've taken them down since then, though, because it's just embarrassing to watch when I go back to them. But I think the longest movie I made was about an hour long.
Wow.
Wow. That's like a feature, man.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. I bored my class to death because we had to present everything to our class. So I made our class like during finals week to stay an extra hour longer because they had to watch the entire thing. I had to apologize to everyone. Sorry, guys.
What about you, Eric? Written anything?
No. From what I remember back in like high school and stuff, I'm like George Lucas when I'm writing dialogue. It's just like awful. But I do have like
he never listens. He's overly critical.
I hate sand. It gets everywhere. But yeah, I would like to do like if I were to do a film, it would probably be like a Kiyoshi Kurosawa type horror film. I think if I were to do it now, where it's like minimal dialogue and like visually presented. But yeah, I don't think I have the talent to do any of that. So
no, well, you could give it a fair old crack of the whip, mate, as we say in Australia.
Yeah.
All right, we're back here. Next question: can you and Nathan watch Once Upon a Time in High School? I was planning on doing that sometime next week, but if I can get Nathan to do it, then maybe we can do it together. Did you hear that the new Nick Cage movie is the highest rated movie at Sundance?
Really?
Okay, fair enough. I'll believe it when I see it.
I really want to check it out then.
Roderick says, back to Johnny Depp, the last good film of his was The Ninth Gate. Totally agree. That movie's amazing. The book is better. The book is called The Dumas Club. Read the book. Have you watched Mr. Robot? I have not. I know of it. Have you guys watched Mr. Robot?
Is that a TV series?
Yeah.
That's a TV series, yeah. I haven't seen it. I don't watch much TV other than superhero shows and Game of Thrones, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. The only thing I know about that is the lead guy in Mr. Robot is playing Freddie Mercury in the movie about Freddie Mercury's life.
That's to my extent of my knowledge as well.
Yeah, which will be interesting because it was meant to be Sacha Baron Cohen, but he pulled out because he said the remaining members of Queen were being very difficult. Brian May, I think, was being a pain in the ass. because they wanted it to make it more about the band rather than Freddie. So nobody gives a shit about you, Brian May. People want to watch a movie about Freddie Mercury. He was one of the greatest singers of all time. Again, your whole-time favorite movies. I don't have any. Sorry, guys. Breaking Bad. What do we think of Breaking Bad? It's amazing. Guys, Breaking Bad. Did you ever watch it? That's one show I did watch. Really? You need to watch that one. It's worth watching.
I also have not watched it.
Oh. All right. We'll get through these. Here we go. A question completely unrelated to movies. You mentioned having some paranormal experiences in the past. Care to tell us more if it isn't too personal? I spoke about that on, I think it was my birthday podcast. So you can go find that one, and it's in there. But do you guys believe in the paranormal or have had any paranormal experiences? What do you think?
No experiences for me, but your story kind of freaked me out.
Yeah. What do you think, Ray?
I have an experience.
You do? All right, let's hear Ray's experience.
All right. So my hometown is in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area in Northern California, and my town is apparently built on top of Native American burial ground. There's a lot of towns like that in my area that fits the case. But I think one night when I was about 10 years old. So if you can picture this, like so. If I'm facing this way, the TV's right here. I'm in the living room. Behind me is the kitchen, and the hallway that leads to the bedrooms, which would be off this way. So, one night, watching TV, and it was a commercial break. I turn around to get a snack in the kitchen, and then peeking out of the hallway that leads to the bedrooms, I see this kind of black silhouette, and I was like, "What is that right there?" I was like, "Huh?" And then after I said, "Huh," all I saw was a snarling mouth that's just let out a growl and then run into the hallway. I was like,
holy shit.
I was like, all right. That's probably my dad playing jokes or something. Because it was night. It was dark. The lights weren't on in the hallway at all. I thought it was my dad playing a joke, right? So I went on to my dad's room, like a typical horror movie victim, just go into the direction that the ghost went into. And then my dad had just gone out of the shower. And I was like, "Dad, why did you try to scare me like that?" He was like, "What are you talking about? I just got out of the shower." I was like, "That wasn't you in the hallway?" "No, what are you talking about?" I was like, "Nothing." So I ran back into the living room, took the blanket, and I was like, I'm never leaving this spot ever again.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It was when I was 10 years old, so I don't know how much I was hallucinating, how much I remember was accurate, but I do remember that kind of sensation.
Oh my God, that's freaky. Yeah. My long story short, for me, I pretty much grew up in a haunted house, basically. All sorts of crap. I've got many stories. Like my parents had their bedroom at one end of the house. We all had our bedrooms at the other end of the house. When my dad wasn't at work, when my dad was away working, my mum said that one night she would feel somebody sitting at the end of her bed and she could smell like a specific smell. I remember I saw an old woman in my house once. Kind of similar story to you, Ray, but I was a little bit older. I was watching, I had the TV on, and then I was in the living room, and I was home by myself. And it wasn't really late at night. It was probably about 8 o'clock, and I think my brother used to play baseball, and it was probably some awards thing. And even when I was like 13, 14, I was like, I'm not going to that stuff. And my parents just let me stay at home because it was like not far from the house. And I just felt like there was somebody in the house with me. And like, I just saw this old woman in the house. And we found out basically it was really weird. It caused there were so many problems in that house. It was just an evil house. And it basically, my parents when we moved in there, they were perfectly fine. And then after a few years, we were in the house and they eventually divorced. And there's so many weird occurrences. I could write a book about it. But we found out that originally this was a big property that we were living on, and my parents built the house on there. But apparently, like, I don't know how many years before, there was another house on there that burnt down, and the people in the house died. So again, that kind of stuff. I don't know. Some people think I'm crazy, but and maybe you're right. Maybe it's just me. You're a kid. Your imagination runs wild. You watch horror movies and things, and you think, oh well, maybe it's just that. All right, let's have a look.
The crazy thing with my house is I wasn't the only one who experienced these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
So if I can tell another story.
Go right ahead. People love this stuff, man. Yeah. But I'll just quickly say it was the same in my house. Like everyone experienced something, and that was a big thing. So yeah, continue. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. You tell your story.
For sure. So my mom was answering the door one time. Some guest, family friend, who has a baby daughter, probably like around 2 or 3 years old, like the youngest child in that family. So they ring the doorbell. My mom looks through the little peephole to see who it is, right? And she sees like walking towards the door. Well, maybe it wasn't a doorbell, but like I think we had like a buzzer that alerts whenever someone's approaching the door. So she sees the daughter running towards the door. They're here. She opens the door. Just the mom is there. The daughter is nowhere to be found. And it's like, hey, didn't Mickey come in? It's like, I thought I saw her. And then her friend said, I saw some little kid too.
Oh, jeez.
But running towards the door. It's like, well, there's been a few times like another one is my grandparents in one of our old houses. My grandparents lived there too. They still do, but in this particular house, my grandma walks really slow. So, and she would usually be the one who does the laundry at that time. So I think one time my mom was, when I wasn't there, she was cleaning my room, and she felt her mom, my grandma, kind of go behind her into the laundry room, and then so she turned around to go talk to her, but of course, grandma wasn't there. No one was there actually. So, a lot of things like that.
Oh wow. I just caught the end of that.
No, you missed the story about the little girl running towards the front door. That didn't actually.
Jesus Christ! I don't want. I've got to go to bed soon. I don't want to have nightmares.
But you can probably catch it if you just rewatch it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll come back to this.
It's a pretty freaky story.
All right, one last question to Ray: is Death Note not popular in Japan because it didn't even make it in the top 100 all-time anime list? I was surprised.
I think Death Note was popular when it was around. I mean, it's one of those names that many anime fans know. The re-release, or not re-release, with the
they keep making Death Note. They keep making movies and TV series and stuff.
Like not top 100. I don't know. I don't actually know what's on the top 100 list, but I think it is popular to an extent. I mean, they still release properties of it. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Let's have a look. Oh, here we go. This will be oh no. Interesting. Oh shit, hang on. Marvel or DC, which one?
Marvel.
In the current universe, post Iron Man, yeah, I'd say Marvel.
I don't care. That's mine. Sorry. I know, Ray, you like all that kind of stuff.
I love superheroes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not into it. I'll watch them occasionally, but it's not something I can get excited about. What about you, Eric? Do you care? Or
I watch all of them just to keep up with the most popular movies in America, just to keep in touch with what's going on. I tend to enjoy a majority of them, but I don't seem to like them as much as the fans do. But they're I don't mind watching them.
Okay, so I guess we'll go for you with this one, Ray. Are you excited for Avengers of Infinity War?
Hell yes, I am.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is probably what's going to happen. A bunch of superheroes get together, they fight a big purple man, and
save the world.
They save the world.
Yeah,
and there's probably some kind of light going up in the sky, and some kind of bug-like creatures that they have to fight as like cannon fodder.
Exactly. I'm expecting all of that. Like, especially the sky beam. I'm expecting the sky beam.
Yeah, there's a sky beam in every goddamn movie. Oh my god. Stop doing the sky beam. I'm bored of the sky beam. Oh my god, sky beams. All right, Ray and Eric, this is for you guys. Have you seen Once Upon a Time in High School, Korean film?
That's not the one with God, what's his name? He was on Volcano High, right? Volcano High and I can't remember his other movies. I've seen bits and pieces, or it's been a long time. It's pretty old, isn't it? Like early 2000s?
Correct. I think 2004.
Yeah. I might have seen bits and pieces of it, but I haven't revisited it for a while.
Yeah, I really like that one. It's pretty. It's got a nice a nice story to it, good characters, and there's some scenes that are actually a lot of fun. So yeah, I definitely recommend that one.
Okay, cool. I plan on watching that one soon. Okay, what is the movie you want to make? The movie I want to make? I don't know. I've said it before on a thing. Basically, it's an Australian war film, but it also looks at a relationship between. It's basically a relationship between Australians and Koreans because of the Australians that fought in the Korean War. There's some specific historical moments where Australians fought in a battle, and a lot of them died over there fighting for South Korea's independence. So I think that's something that hasn't really been looked at, and it's a big part of Korean history and a big part of Australia's history. You know, Australia's not a very big country population-wise, so when we go to war for other countries, it really is a big deal. So yeah, it's just something I think could be interesting, but the way I want to do it isn't a traditional Australian way. It would actually be quite similar to how a Korean film is structured. Please watch Pictures. It's one of the best TV shows in India. I probably can't get that, and I don't do TV shows. I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell my Korean audience that asked me to do Korean TV shows. I'm not doing them. What do you think about Rick and Morty and its commentary on society and conventions? I think Rick and Morty is a very good show. I think it's really good. I like the characters. I haven't really watched a lot of it to look at the societal stuff. I think a lot of it is just silly teenage humor, to be honest, but I don't know how deep it's really trying to go. Have you guys seen Rick and Morty?
No.
No.
No. The Rick and Morty fans piss me off, so I kind of been put off with Rick. There was some running gag. Do you guys remember when Mulan came out, the Disney Mulan?
You're talking about the Szechuan sauce thing?
Yeah, the Szechuan. And people were just losing their shit. And you can see videos of like guys in America like jumping on top of like McDonald's like benches like in the store and like, I want my sauce. And you're like, oh my God, these are grown fucking men. And they're just losing their minds because McDonald's decided because Rick and Morty made this sauce popular again, they do a limited release or something. And then all the Rick and Morty fans that there's this whole running gag that Rick and Morty fans think they're like really smart because Rick and Morty's scientific or some crap. So anyway, they just made themselves not look very smart by acting like complete morons over some 20-year-old nugget sauce from McDonald's. I'm guessing, yeah. Did that make the news or anything in the States?
No, I didn't hear anything about it.
Yeah.
I don't watch the news, man. It's too depressing.
Yeah.
I got better things to do with my time than to know how many people died today and what Donald Trump is doing.
Yeah, fair enough. I can totally understand that. I try to not watch the news. I really try, but sometimes things just, you'll be on a certain website and things will come up and you'll see something. You're like, oh, I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to hear that. I've actually tried one of my New Year's resolutions. I've got a whiteboard. I've got all these things I'm trying to achieve this year, and one of them is just to not give a shit about that stuff anymore.
You'll have a nice burst of positivity, and you'll feel happier. I think even.
Yeah, just
I did.
Just being ignorant about what's going on. I think.
Yeah.
Is a better.
Because you already know what they're going to say before they say it anyway. You know.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, what else we got here? Favorite anime movie. Princess Mononoke and Akira. Good choices. Well, I've got Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke on my wall over here, and I also have Perfect Blue. I think they would be a good top 3 for me. What about you guys? Starting with Ray.
That is another difficult one. Just if I were to pick one off the top of my head, Akira would probably be up there. Like Millennium Actress and Perfect Blue as well, but it's hard to choose just one.
Yeah.
Because you have to fight through the Ghiblis, you gotta go through the Satoshi Kons, and it's just hard because they're all really good.
Yeah. Eric, you have like top 3 or just 3 in general that you can throw up?
Well, my favorite film might be Mamoto Oshii's film Angel's Egg from the mid-'80s. I like that one a lot. It's very like symbolic and visually driven. I really like that one. What are a few other ones that would make like my top? Well, Spirited Away is up there. That one's up there. And what's another? I don't know what my third one would be. I know if I could choose a TV series, Samurai Champloo would be very high up there as well. Okay,
cool. Mr. Robot is basically the gimmick from Fight Club, except he is a hacker. Oh, okay. One of the scariest films ever is Nori the Curse, Japan. Ju-on Black and White, the 2 TV series follow-up. Okay.
Nori the Curse was amazing.
Yeah?
Amazing, yeah.
I saw one.
Yes, that one. Yeah, that's fucking really scary. I think you recommended that one to me, Eric.
Possibly.
A long time ago now.
But I saw one that's not available with subtitles. There are these. I mean, Japan makes a lot of direct-to-video documentary style stuff. I saw one called. There's a few in the Yami Doga. Have you seen any of the Yami Doga films? They actually
I haven't seen the Yami Doga ones. The series I'm familiar with, it's like, oh, it really happened or something. I think that's what it's called.
Well, Yami Doga has their own YouTube channel, and you could pay like $2 or $3, and you can watch their films with English subtitles too. And I watched one called Yami Doga 12 is the one I just happened to start with, and that one freaked me out. So I would recommend that one.
Cool. All right, back to some more questions. Favorite directors of all time. We have Kubrick and Nolan here. Kubrick's definitely up there for me if we're talking like non-Asian directors. I mentioned on my podcast, the live stream the other day that I did for the Bookfest thing, that I really liked Brawl in Cell Block 99. You guys need to check that out if you haven't seen it. It's an amazing film. The director of that's fantastic. Bone Tomahawk was great as well. He's like what Tarantino thinks he is. I think that's the best way I can put it. So this guy's stuff is completely original, but there is a bit of homage in there, but it's not ripping off at all. And he's actually a novelist. Well, actually, he was originally a metal guitarist or something, but then he wrote a bunch of novels that I haven't read yet, but I've ordered some because a lot of his work's compared to Cormac McCarthy, one of my favorite authors. So, yeah, Bone Tomahawk, fantastic, like Western film that turns into does that thing where it changes genres. And Brawl in Cell Block 99, I watched the other night and I was blown away by it. Vince Vaughn, probably his best performance, and I'm not a Vince Vaughn fan. And his next movie is called Dragged Across the Concrete with Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson playing corrupt cops. So that's probably going to be incredible.
I heard about Bone Tomahawk a few years ago when it came out. I never watched it, but then I heard good things about it. And then I heard you talking about this guy's other films. So what I do was I put both of them on my Netflix queue and bump them up. So I'm hoping to watch those in the near future.
Don't read anything about them. Don't watch any clips on YouTube. Nothing. Just watch them.
All right.
There aren't that many, because you guys know we watch a lot of Asian movies. So it takes a lot to make me feel literally sick in the stomach from like gore stuff. Because, you watch Japanese movies, you watch Korean movies, you're like, yeah, I've seen it. All right. There's not much you can get me with. But yeah, his films like Bone Tomahawk, more so Brawl in Cell Block 99, he makes you feel sick even with dialogue. And there's this one scene in Brawl in Cell Block 99 between Vince Vaughn and Udo Kier, and it's just a conversation, and it makes you feel sick. But it's so, his dialogue's amazing. The guy's incredible, but that's because he's a novelist.
So I would say my directors, outside of the Asian ones, I really liked like two directors that are now has-beens, I think, but they were just phenomenal in their day, are Michael Mann and John McTiernan. So those two guys are high on my list. Yeah,
John McTiernan's underrated, man. It'd be nice to see him direct another movie. What about you, Ray? You think of any good directors?
Yeah, for me, I've always been a John Woo fan. I don't know about his movies nowadays, but at his peak, I would always John Woo would be my go-to director. I guess the same can be said about Sono Shion. Nowadays, his movies are all right, but he has a lot of movies which I still go back to and enjoy. As far as non-Asian ones, I know there are a few, but they're kind of just can't think of any on the top of my head.
Well, Spielberg, I think, is pretty solid too.
Yeah, Spielberg isn't great. Although BFG was okay, but it was okay. But I mean, everything else, I'm excited for Ready Player One, just because he's the one doing it. I think it's always going to be solid with Spielberg. Nolan's okay. Can't really think of any I can't really think of anyone who I would call my absolute favorite director at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Have you guys seen Shudder, the original Thai film?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I have. Yeah, and unfortunately, I've seen the American version as well.
With Shannon Sossaman, was it?
No. You're thinking of One Missed Call, I think.
Oh,
okay. Shudder's the one with the guy from Dawson's Creek, and I think it's an Australian actress actually. Isn't
they all? Man, those the American remakes of that time.
I know they all blend in together because they all had similar looking people, and they all looked the same as well.
If you want to see the worst one, and this could be a spoiler for a future podcast, but I don't care. But the worst, if you want to see a really bad one, check out the remake of Apartment 1303. Woo!
Oh, is that the one with Mishka Barton?
I don't know, but man, that was brutal.
All right.
Rehash.
Actually, in Australia, you can get them when you buy the remake. You actually get the original with it in like a 2-pack.
Oh,
Well, that's good because the original wasn't even that good anyway in Apartment 1303.
Wow. So you get 2 bad movies for the price of one. Corey, anime or Marvel? I don't know what you mean by that. Like, would I prefer to watch an anime over a Marvel movie? Yes. Do you remember Silverchair? Of course I remember Silverchair. I was in a band with the drummer from Silverchair's cousin, actually. Silverchair were a famous Australian rock band in the 90s. And I've met them several times, yes. They're nice guys. Why wouldn't the government support my movies? Because the Australian government are a bunch of morons, and the movies that we make are utter shit 90% of the time. Okay, Smoker Nasons has a question for you, Ray. What are the do's and don'ts if I am in Japan? I don't want to come over and insult anyone or be an arrogant Western tourist.
Do's and
Have
don'ts.
some advice.
Don't make noise on the train during morning commutes. What else? Walk quickly on the streets of Tokyo, because everyone's trying to get to where they need to be. Everyone's kind of cold like that, but definitely just keep up the pace when you walk. I'm trying to think. It's hard for me to differentiate between what not to do as a tourist versus what annoys me when I see tourists do these things. You know, it's kind of two different things.
Don't stick your chopsticks in your rice and leave them sticking up.
No.
Yeah, that's imitating funeral rituals. So if you want some bad luck, I mean, what's another one? Take off your shoes and when you go inside the house.
Which you should be doing anyway. Let's face it.
Yeah. No tips. That's good. I mean, as an American, that's a lifesaver. No tips at restaurants.
Welcome to my world. We don't have tips in Australia.
Nice.
That's amazing. What else? Always pay with the exact change, and like you never say keep the change, otherwise the cashiers will freak out. You know, if the price is 1,000 yen, but if you give like 1,500, you say keep the change. You're like, hey, what do I do with this extra 500 yen? They'll start panicking. What else? If you can't speak the language, it's definitely okay to use your body language and even just pointing at the menu. I want this, please, or something like that. So you don't have to worry too much if you can't speak the language. At least that's a personal opinion. Some would argue otherwise, but that's a lot. But at the same time, because we're foreigners, they're very forgiving of us. They actually make a lot of leeway for people who don't really understand the local culture. So that's a benefit.
Yeah, I will just chime in. When I've been to Japan, I found it not easy, but don't expect a lot of Japanese people to just come and help you if you like look lost on the street. You might get the odd person, but it's not that they can't speak English. A lot of Japanese people, and this is what I'm told by Japanese people that I know, when it comes to speaking English in front of a Westerner, sometimes it's like a pride thing. They don't want to make any mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that they're being rude or that's not like they're being rude or anything. They just don't want to make any mistakes. But most Japanese people are absolutely lovely. I remember I was in, I think it was Akihabara, and I was trying to find a certain shop, and this older lady, she was probably maybe in her 50s. She spoke very good English, and she pretty much just took me to the place I wanted to go. But compared to somewhere like Taiwan, because I've been to Taiwan or more than I've been to Japan. In Taiwan, a lot of people, I would say, under the age of 35 can speak English to a certain extent. Where in Japan, I found there are less people that speak English. But don't just assume people can speak English. That's the one thing.
Yeah, that too. The same people like at like McDonald's. Like my sister, when she visited me for the first time in Tokyo, immediately she was speaking to we were at McDonald's. She was making her order as if she was back in the States. I had to actually stop it and like, wait, slow down a bit. Slow down so the lady can catch. So she had to redo her order. Because I could see the sense of panic in the cashier's face, like, what's she saying?
Yeah. Sometimes I agree with Ray. Sometimes like they have like menus, and some places will have an English menu, and you can just point to the thing. Pointing really helps. Eric, do you have any travel advice for Japan?
Yeah, in terms of eating, a lot of the restaurants, well, at least a decent amount of them, have like the fake food in the display case. So even if you do a Japanese restaurant that doesn't have English menus, you could always walk the person out and be like, "Hey, give me that thing." You know what I mean? And I try to make it easier for them when I'm on vacation. Like when I order food, I'm not allergic to anything, so however it comes, I just get it that way. You know what I mean? So like I just order stuff, and like especially my 10-course meals, I just say give me that meal or that meal, and they just keep bringing stuff out. And trying to think, the train stations, it might take you a little bit the first time to get how it works, because I think you technically pay for a fare, not an actual destination per se. So, but once you do it a few times, it's super convenient.
I would also recommend getting do they still have those cards?
I think
right?
so.
The
what are they called?
The IC cards. Where you just, those
you tap on
cards,
and you tap off.
Yeah. Those are pretty much still active. If you have an iPhone that has Apple Pay, you can get a mobile version of those too. So, like a few buddies of mine, whenever they visit, they're from the States, and whenever they visit, they just have their digital IC cards on their iPhones, and it works just fine.
Cool. All right. Next question. Eric, question for you. What are your upcoming reviews after this podcast? Do you have anything planned?
Yeah, I already filmed the reviews for next week. I got a Japanese classic. I got a Hong Kong action movie and a South Korean romantic comedy coming next week. And then I got another K-drama review I'm going to be doing in a few weeks. And I keep mixing in the Japanese classics. So really my channel is going to have I'm hoping to do one Asian horror vid each month, a few Japanese classic videos, and then other stuff. And then I'm trying to do a top 10 list every month too for a Japanese director.
Excellent. What about you, Ray? Anything planned?
Well, I think right now it's just trying to go back, do a bunch of older movies, so older as in anything earlier than last year. Because right now, until the beginning of maybe early February, maybe in 2 weeks, there isn't really anything eye-catching in the theater for me to check out. So it's just for now, it's just gonna be a bunch of backtracking and just trying to get a bunch of older movie reviews up.
Cool. Next question. Have you guys seen Before We Vanish? Japanese. I have not.
Not yet. Nope.
All right.
That came out last year, didn't it? That was
Kayoshi Kurosawa, I think.
Was that? Yeah. Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Premise sounds interesting though.
Mm-hmm. That's one with the aliens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't seen it yet though.
All right. Have you watched The Lunchbox? Yes, I have. Lunchbox is a Bollywood film. What do you think? Do the two protagonists meet in the end? I'd like to think that they do, but I mean, it's one of those movies where it's really open-ended. I think it's up to you to interpret it the way you want to. But for me, they meet. Whiplash. Thoughts on Whiplash? I thought it was a fantastic film. The performances were great, and I don't really like Miles Teller all that much, but he did a very good job.
J.K. Simmons stole that movie for me. That was a fantastic movie.
Yeah. Eric, have you seen Whiplash?
Yeah, I did not like it.
Really?
No.
You are the only person I've ever spoken to that hasn't liked that film.
It's one of those films that just it was obnoxious to me. Like I thought the characters were pretty I don't know, one-dimensional, and it's one of the few films where like the moral of the film kind of pissed me off. It's like, it's like, oh, if you want to be a really good musician, you need to get berated by a teacher, you know what I mean? And be mentally just, scarred and be treated like crap because it's not like anybody could ever do it another way. And then the end of the film kind of justifies that whole worldview. And it was just like, I don't know. I didn't like the whole thing.
Oh, that's a good point. All right, next one. Hope you review Filipino movies. Actually, I've noticed that we're starting to get more Filipino movies in the cinema here, but I don't know if they're the movies that I actually want to watch. They look really like tacky romantic movies, and I don't like that stuff.
Filipinos, we love our romantic stories.
You do?
I mean, like I say,
Do you watch a lot of those movies, Ray, or did you have to growing up, or?
Growing up, yeah, it's kind of like we have. Well, I don't even know what's on TV anymore, but growing up, there was like this weekly TV drama. It's not even a TV drama. It's like it's not even connected. I think, but every week was a different sappy, over the top, dramatic love story that my family would just like eat up. It's like it would there always be meant to be tear jerkers.
Right.
It feels like a lot of the movies are just sappy romantic films, and even like I remember when like Jason loves watching those kinds of movies, especially from the Philippines. And I remember he would have some conversations with the Filipino friends, like, "Yeah, I love these movies. Why?" And then Filipino friends would be like, "Why? Filipino movies are so stupid, or so cheesier. It's so low quality." And then Jason would say, "Oh, for those exact reasons. That's why I watch those movies."
All right. Yeah, there was one that was in the cinema, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and I had the choice to see either that or Along with the Gods, and I think I made the right choice. I would rather watch a Ha Jong-woo movie than some. It was some silly Filipino, like, it looked like it wanted to be like a comic art something. What was it called? It was like some comic book thing. It looked really dumb. But we're getting I think it's because we have a decent, we have a big Filipino population here. All right, Keanu Reeves, Speed, The Matrix, or John Wick? For me, it's John Wick.
Wow.
That's tough.
I might go with The Matrix, the first one.
John Wick.
Yeah, I'm John Wick because John Wick 2 is a decent film where the Matrix sequels I think are awful. So
fair enough.
Yeah. But the first Matrix film is good. It's really good. Probably the best live action anime movie we've ever had. That's based on a live action anime.
Really?
Based on an anime, sorry. Oh no, where are we? All right, here we go. Sushi Sunshine 2000 says, "Hi, Pieces of Work and Co." All right, there are some Filipino movies available on YouTube. Fair enough. Have you seen Angamali Diaries? Not yet. I plan on seeing that soon.
Henry Luna.
There are tons of great Japanese movies in the 50s and 60s. That's true. I need to start doing. I think I might start doing some like older Japanese films because I don't know. I don't get any of the newer ones, and that's the thing, Ray. You end up doing them anyway, so I don't know. We don't get them till we get. The only time I get Japanese movies in Australia are like we've got Mary and the Witch's Flower that just came out. And then unless there's another big anime coming out, then we won't get anything until the film festival. And the stuff we get at the film festival is all older stuff. So, Requiem for a Dream, thoughts? If you like Jennifer Connelly, it's a movie to watch.
I don't think I've seen it before, actually.
You haven't seen it? It's the thing. It's the drug
What's
movie with Ellen Burstyn.
Right? Is that
and
Aronofsky?
Mm.
It's an Aronofsky movie, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm not an Aronofsky fan myself in general, so I really didn't like that one.
Oh,
I think his films come off as almost like I kind of not maybe like David Lynch because they're obviously very different filmmakers, but just the content comes off as a little juvenile to me in a lot of his stuff.
Is he the guy that did that Mother movie recently?
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but
my mum told me that movie. Ironically, my mum saw that movie and she said it was like the worst movie she'd seen in a long time.
It's one of those movies I've seen. I've been hearing that just splits people down the middle. Like a lot. Like I've seen some movie YouTubers absolutely love it, or absolutely didn't care for it. It's kind of like, oh, which direction, guys?
Well, the thing is, I really like artsy movies, and they don't even have to make sense for me to like them. But don't irritate me. You know what I mean? Like, don't be obnoxious and make me, take me out of the film. And I think him and David Lynch kind of do that to me, unfortunately.
Right. What do we got? Saw your unsubscribe video and just subscribed. Thank you. Did you guys see that? I think Ray saw it earlier. Did you see that?
Yeah, when I woke up this morning, when I was setting up, I'm like, oh, I may as well listen to this. What is this about? And it was a good video. I liked it.
Thanks, man. It was me being a smart ass and also just kind of addressing some things that are happening on my channel.
You got some good right hooks, though, man.
Yeah, that's how I take out my aggression, man. On that box, I was telling Ray earlier, I'm not drinking beer tonight because I'm trying. Over the Christmas period, I did put on a little bit of weight around my gut, and I'm trying to get back. Like, I was in really good shape a few years ago, and I really want to just get back into shape and do some more boxing and all that kind of stuff. All right, what have we got? There are Filipino people telling me, Ray, that you need to be convincing me to watch Filipino movies.
Well, they do make some. I've seen some horror films that were quite good. One of them was called The Road from 2011 that I liked quite a bit. So I have seen a good number of good Filipino horror films, at least. So
cool. What other YouTubers do you want to collaborate with? Me personally, I can't think of any, to be honest. The people I've wanted to collaborate with, I've been lucky enough to collaborate with them. I don't know of any other people that do Asian reviews. There are quite a few people that do trailer reactions, but I think I've made my thoughts on that quite clear.
I did send you a link to that one channel that's fairly
Oh, yeah,
new.
Sorry, yeah. Those
Cinema Nippon, I think it's called.
Their videos are fantastic. So potentially, is it just one guy? Or is it two people?
Two. It's a guy and a girl.
Yeah.
They put a lot of effort into the script writing phase.
Yeah, their videos of I only saw one, but it's finding time. I don't have a lot of time to watch other YouTubers.
Yeah.
I don't even get to watch, you guys. I don't watch every video that you do. But I watch most of them, but not every single one.
Well, some of mine get to be 40 minutes long, so it gets kind of crazy.
I watch some of those. You like Mike ones and stuff. They're really. But yeah, I don't know who I would want to collaborate with, to be honest. I contacted a few people that I thought might want to do it, but they just didn't get back to me. No response whatsoever. No thanks, but no thanks. Just nothing. And they weren't people with massive channels or anything. So I don't know. I do like bigger channels. I've made it quite clear. I like Red Letter Media. I think their stuff's amazing, but they don't collaborate with other people at all. So that'll never happen. What about you guys? Do you have anybody you want to collaborate with, or any other YouTubers that you think you'd work well with, or anything like that?
I think for me, there are a lot of YouTubers I like watching more than the idea of collaborating with. Like, just because like their personalities are much, how do you say, they're much more wittier than I could ever be, and much louder. Like, I feel I'm more of a kind of a laid back, chill kind of dude, but a lot of YouTubers are kind of loud and energetic, and
yeah. But is that the public persona?
Probably that's how they put on their videos. And if I were to do a collaboration, I would need to match them in some way. And I feel like I can't keep up with those kinds of dudes. But I love watching them. I love watching just what they put out, and it's entertaining. It's fun. For me, that's how it would be.
Yeah. I've been told many times, Corey, you need to be more energetic, and they tell me be more like this guy and be more like that guy, and they're people that have massive channels, and I'm like, well, I'm not like that. I'm not an actor. I'm not going to sit here and put on a show and just love every single movie and go, oh my God, guys, I just saw the latest Godzilla movie. It's so good.
You missed the 10 edits that you're supposed to do in that 5-second period.
I don't have ADD, so it's not how I roll. I'm a bit more like Ray. I'm a bit, I'm a bit more laid back. So I just, what about you, Eric?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't know about any specific YouTubers. There are some that I've subscribed.
That's the thing. But that's the thing. Like, if we're going to collaborate, we have to collaborate with people that do things that are similar to us.
Yeah.
And we already collaborate together. So I don't really know of, there aren't. Obviously, Jason was doing it with Ray, and he does his K-pop stuff now, and Sean does stuff, and then you said that the newer channel, but that's really pretty much it for like.
There's a touch of film, right? He's still around, I think. There's a few other guys out there, but
I actually spoke to him the other day on Facebook, and we're going to. I want to try and get him on next month's podcast with us. So that'll be interesting, having 4 people. But I've been wanting to chat with him for a while. I've followed his channel for a long time. So yeah, and there are a couple of other people that have smaller channels that eventually they'll be on this podcast, but it's just been a timing thing for a lot of people. But I've contacted pretty much every single person that does anything Asian related. All right, so did you have anything else you wanted to add, Eric? Sorry, I kind of cut you off there.
Not really, no.
All right. Oh, really good piece of information from ADI. Don't record a dead body when you're in Japan.
Oh, man. Well, that's the type of guy who gets, 15 million subscribers or however many he has.
15? I think it's 50 million or something.
Oh, is it 50?
It's something ridiculous, dude. He's like one of the biggest YouTubers in the world and one of the most rich. He's like, somebody told me he earns like 6 million a year or something ridiculous like that.
I watched one of his older videos just to see, and I just couldn't. I don't know. Not my type of guy.
Well, I didn't want to watch any of his videos, so I watched somebody taking his video apart. Like, it was I think it was a Japanese guy ripping into him.
The guy Yuta, Japanese guy.
I don't know.
Right? That's
his name.
That's his name.
Oh, okay,
yeah, he's amazing. He's really good.
Okay, so I watched that video and he basically just ripped into him. I'm like, all right, and he showed some of the clips. And I'm like, all right, I would rather watch another person talk about it than watch the video. I'd rather give that person the view than give another view to Logan Paul. But he has his audience of 11-year-old girls, so good luck to him. Have you guys watched Kante? It's another unofficial remake of Reservoir Dogs and the Usual Suspects. Quite entertaining. Haven't heard of that one. Oh, that was the one. It was Aang Larawan. Have you heard of that, Ray?
I don't know one.
That was the one that was in this. It was that was a drama one that was in the cinema like last year. It's the two impoverished sisters agonize over selling a painting, their father's final masterpiece.
I don't know.
It's a musical film, apparently.
That might not be a bad idea. Filipinos love karaoke, I guess.
Have you watched My Name is Khan? No, I have not. What have we got here? Oh, no, sorry. I've missed stuff. My mouse is really horrible. God, it's done that thing. Sorry. Where are we? Where were we? Have you guys seen Happy Hour, 4-hour Japanese film about 4 female friends?
No.
I have not.
Oh. I think the longest Japanese film I've seen was Love Exposure.
Yeah, that's probably the same for me. All right, next one. What's your favorite book? My favorite book is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. Do you guys have favorite books?
Man, I haven't read a book in a while.
I think the last book I read that I really enjoyed was After Dark by Haruki Murakami. I went through a phase when I used to just read Murakami like nonstop.
You need to read the other Murakami, my friend.
Which Murakami?
Ryu Murakami. I've got all of his books. The guy that wrote Audition and Tokyo Decadence.
Yeah.
And, hey, if I come to Japan, I can lend them to you.
I don't know what I would give them back to you though.
You'll just have to
find them on
read them really quickly.
Oh, I did read the guy. There's a Japanese movie site. Well, it focuses on Japanese films called Midnight Eye, and some of the guys from that website wrote some really good books on Japanese cinema that I've read that are really good.
Sick. All right, where are we? Sorry. The Matrix is one of the most important action films ever. Okay, so Smoking Aces, back to the Japan stuff. He said, thanks, guys. I walk so fast, that's no problem. I'm the Usain Bolt of walking. All right. Oh, okay. I'm learning Japanese for I met a Japanese lady so I can make her laugh. Okay. Corey, Choimin Shik, Heart Blackened review anytime soon. I don't know. I'll have to have a look and see if it's out. What do you guys think about Blade Runner 2049? I'm still yet to watch it. I have been given a friend of mine lent me a copy, so I'll be checking that out soon. Have you guys seen Blade Runner 2049?
Not yet. I think for me, I'm just waiting. It just finished its theatrical run here in Japan, believe it or not. But I've been hearing opinions about it. Generally good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think I'll rewatch the original and then rent the new one and just watch them like back to back the same night, maybe.
The problem with the original is which version do you watch? There's like 5 versions of that movie.
I think the final cut is the one people usually recommend.
Right. Do you know Friendly Geordies? He's also an Australian YouTuber who does political comedy and satire. I have no idea who that is. Sorry. How about collaborating with certain bloggers? Yeah, definitely. Corey in the next Best of the Worst when? Never, probably. It would be nice, but I don't think that'll happen. They don't know who I am. Countdown? No, I haven't seen. Have you guys seen a Thai thriller called Countdown from 2012?
I don't think so.
I haven't.
Okay. It's from the director of Bad Genius, apparently. I haven't seen that yet. I'm new here. I'm wondering if you have watched any Asian TV drama series. I often hear Korean dramas are popular. I don't watch Korean dramas, but I know they are popular in Australia. Eric, you watch some, don't you?
Yeah, the last few years it hasn't been as many, but I watched a bunch before then. I just finished reviewing one called Stranger with Do Bae. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
K-dramas, I actually do like the romantic comedy K-dramas. They have certain cliches about them, but the thing with the Korean television series is that if you get a really good lead actress, and there's a lot of good lead actresses in Korean television, then it kind of really helps to make the whole series enjoyable. So I do kind of like my K-dramas.
Yeah. What about you, Ray? Do you watch any K-dramas?
Not in recent years. I did a lot back when I was getting into Asian cinema. I think the first K-drama I watched was this piece called Stairway to Heaven. And it just messed me up. This was before I got introduced to the cliches of Korean dramas, if you guys know what I mean. And so this is my first experience, and I was like, oh my God, she doesn't remember anything. Oh no, she's going blind. Oh no.
I don't watch as many of those. I focus on the lighter ones usually.
But I've watched a few, and but having my first Korean drama as Stairway to Heaven, that messed me up.
Wow.
I wasn't prepared for it. Now it's like I can laugh at those cliches, but as an introduction, oh man.
What's the point of going to Japan if you can't film a dead body?
Oops. Does sushi count?
Yeah, that's true. All right. But what if I filmed the slit mouth woman? She's dead, right? I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, she's pretty creepy.
That's a Japanese horror movie. It's
all right.
It's all right. I mean,
is it?
I didn't mind it so much.
Oh, okay.
There was a sequel that was quite good too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, somebody said usually Filipino mainstream films are worse. Sorry. Filipino indie is way better.
Oh.
Gintama live action was awesome. And
yeah,
I think,
loved it.
one more question. Do you guys ever plan on doing other Asian cinema, like Indian cinema or Pakistani cinema or anything like that? That's not like Southeast Asia, I guess. Or
I think for me,
there's also Philippines, Vietnam. We can keep going.
I think for me, Japan is the main. Korea would be the second, and I've seen my fair share of Chinese, Hong Kong, and Thai films, and a little bit of Malaysian, Filipino, but it's always going to be Japan for me, just because I live here, and it's the easiest to have access to. So yeah.
I have covered some other countries in my Asian horror playlist. Quite a few Filipino movies in there, Indonesian, Thai, a few from Taiwan and Malaysia as well. But when I first started my channel, actually in my introduction video, I specifically mentioned the countries I was going to focus on. And I have so many projects related to those countries that I haven't done yet that it's hard to branch out right now into other stuff. So I'm just going to kind of focus right now on the stuff I'm doing.
Yeah, it's difficult because I just keep people are like, review this from this country. Why don't you do this country? And why don't you do this country? It's like, that's one of the reasons why I made that video today. There are two things I will do. I will do one South Korean movie and I'll do an Indian film, and then everything, because they're the things that I have. It's all about access, like Ray was saying. Ray lives in Japan. He gets Japanese movies. I live in Australia. We get South Korean, Indian, and Chinese films. That's pretty much it. For the most part. They're the ones that I can easily get access to. Like they play at most of the cinemas. I don't really have to go too far out of my way. Like I said, Filipino movies do play here, but I'd have to go really out of my way to watch them, and they do play it at not very convenient times for me. Sometimes it's like 9:30 at night. It's the same with a lot of some of the Indian movies. They're like 9:30 at night and they're 3 hours long, and that's not very appealing to me. To be getting home at like 1 in the morning. I know it's like 1 in the morning now, but this is different. I'm at home and I can just walk upstairs and go to bed. But yeah, occasionally I'll see other things that aren't like my main focus. Like I saw a Vietnamese film last year just because it was playing at the cinema near my house, and I was like, oh, that sounds okay. And there was literally nothing else playing. So, I mean, there's an Australian-Chinese co-production that's coming out on Thursday that I will probably be reviewing, and it looks fucking awful because it's an it's got Australian Screen Australia co-produced it, so that's why we know it's terrible. It's called Guardians of the Tomb.
Sounds sweet.
Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer's career. Remember when he had a career?
Yeah. Great.
So it was filmed. I think it was filmed in Queensland, my home state, and it's a Chinese film with a couple of Australian actors and like Kelsey Grammer for some reason. I just feel so sorry for him. And it's about giant spiders or something. Spiders in a tomb. It's from the director of an Australian film called Bait. Bait is an absolutely god-awful movie. It was set on the Gold Coast, and it was about, there was a tsunami and a shopping center gets flooded, like a grocery store, and people are trapped in the grocery store, and there are like 6 or something great whites in the grocery store. And they have to survive, and it's so dumb. It is so dumb, but it's apparently that's the most successful Australian film of all time in China.
Oh, China. Okay.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. So hence why China went, hey, let's give that director a bunch of money to make us a film, and we'll send our crew and our actors to Australia, and he can make a movie. So his next film is like a Indiana Jones style thing with giant funnel web spiders. My sister's probably going to come watch that with me because she loves bad B-grade monster movies, and she really likes Bait. She likes it because it's terrible. So she will probably actually think Guardians of the Tomb is amazing, but not because it's dumb. One of her favorite films is Anaconda, the original one. So that tells you a lot. All right. I think we might leave it there because it's like 1 a.m. here, and it's getting late where Ray is as well. And
it's about a little past midnight.
Yeah, we need to go to bed. But we will talk to you guys very soon. Thanks for watching. I'll just close this down. Anything else you want to say, guys?
No.
Nothing? You're good?
Everybody have a nice day.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me. Ray, thank you so much. Eric, thank you so much. We'll be back this time next month, probably. Have you guys got any ideas of what you want to do next month for a podcast?
A lot of options.
Yeah, a lot of options we got.
Yeah.
We've got a big list, so we'll talk and we'll think of something. But thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you guys soon.
Peace.